Hello and welcome. This is Ghostlight RPGs. My name is Graham Ward. My pronouns are he, him. And I'm here with some of my friends. We're going to be playing The One Ring, 2nd edition by Free League Publishing. Very excited to be resuming what we thought was a one-shot, but the shadow overtook us and our burdens became too heavy and we were unable to finish our first stream. So here we are completing the task. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Everyone can just kind of, shout out your name, your pronouns, and let's, maybe just say a little bit about maybe like your experience with Tolkien. Not that you have to have any, but like what's a favorite character or a thing about when you first read or watched The Lord of the Rings, something like that. I'd love to hear it. We've been chatting up a little bit about Tolkien in our pre-show, so hopefully that loosened the what's the metaphor I'm using?
Oiled the
gears,
broke the ice.
There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll start. Just that when I was 11 years old, my dad took me to a bookstore, and we were going on a road trip, and he said, "Pick any book you want, and you can read it in the car on the way back." We were heading home from Montreal, and I immediately grabbed The Lord of the Rings, and he was like, "Well, okay, like, cool it, buddy. That's like 1,000+ pages." I convinced him to buy it for me, and I read The Fellowship of the Ring over the course of about 8 months. It took me forever and was way above my reading level, but I instantly fell in love with Tolkien. And then the announcement for the movies came like that year or the next year, and so I was very fortunate to have first read Lord of the Rings when I had no preconceived notions at all and had no idea what I was getting myself into. So that's my origin with Tolkien. Anyone else want to jump in?
You go, Jean. You go.
Hi, everybody. I am Jean She/Her. My experience with Tolkien is from when I was very, very small. Before I could read myself, before I really remember it, my dad would read me The Hobbit when I was very young, and like as a bedtime story. And once I was old enough, that graduated into Lord of the Rings. And I think probably the first Lord of the Rings reading I got, like it had to have been 7 or 8, was reading like The Hobbit. He was reading The Hobbit to me way before then. Many bedtime story rotations of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. My dad would do voices for the characters. Terrified of Shelob. I definitely remember nightmares from Shelob because of the voice that my dad liked to do in that section. Very scary.
Cool.
But I am a lifelong Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Tolkien fan. Grew up with them. The movies were huge, obviously, to me as a preteen and teenager. And yeah, I'm happy to be here getting the One Ring on.
Thank you so much. Glad you're here too. Who's next?
Emma was gonna say something. Yeah.
Oh, I was hi, I'm Emma. My pronouns are she, her. I'm playing an elf named Elonara. We were just talking about this. I've read The Hobbit and I've read The Fellowship and got halfway through the second book before I lost interest. But and I've watched the movies. But my favorite and like my first impression of Tolkien's work was that animated Hobbit movie that came out in like the 80s or the 90s with the really scary Gollum.
The Rankin Bass. Yeah.
Yes, I loved that cartoon so much, and that's what made me want to read the books and want to watch the movies. So that's what that was the most I don't know, that's like the most impression that his work has made on me. So
I love
the ball to Ted.
I'm Ted, he, him, I've like many people, I've been hugely affected by the Lord of the Rings. I guess the unique aspects of it for me, one of them is that the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings was a big part of my childhood. It is a bizarre film, and I did not realize it at the time. I loved it, and there was the Ralph Bakshi, which covers Fellowship and Two Towers, and then there's the Rankin Bass Return of the King, which is very strange. So you got the Hobbit by Rankin Bass, and then the two Bakshis, or the single Bakshi that is two books, and then Return of the King. And I think I wanted as a kid for there to be a darker Return of the King that matched the thing. Though I did love the jam where there's a whip, there's a way, which the Mordor orcs
Eternal.
sing. Oh yeah, it's incredible.
That song is immortal.
Yeah, it's a jam, and I think my brother and I were both disappointed that it didn't show up in the Peter Jackson Return of the King.
The only two people on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. But I think as an older person, not an older person, but like getting into the films, being a young teenager, one thing that stands out to me is like I had a deep love of the people of Gondor, and I felt that they were treated badly in the film because they just kept getting the crap beat out of them. Like I wanted there to be a moment in the Return of the King where like, you know, Imrahil stepped up and like fought courageously, but instead it was all the main characters by that point, and so all the Gondor people looked like idiots, which is not totally true. But I have a fondness for them and their big fancy white city. So anyway, that's
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Cool. And
Amazing.
Always last, but never last in our thoughts, Justin.
That's me, baby. Hey, I'm Justin. My pronouns are he, him. I play Cynewen, the ranger. I'm really gonna show my age here. So I didn't really know anything about Lord of the Rings until my aunt, it was like Christmas time, 2003, 11-year-old Justin goes on Christmas Eve with his aunt and uncle and maybe some other family members to go see Return of the King. I had not seen the first two movies.
Oh, no.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I was 11 years old. It was long. I think I might have fallen asleep a few times, if I'm being honest, because it was like Christmas Eve and I was like all like sugared up and but I loved it, and I remember like the end, and I remember the Eagles, and I was like, this is so cool. And I don't know when I went back and watched the other two movies, and I don't know when that was after that, but that was my first exposure to Lord of the Rings, and honestly, I think after that, I was just kind of too intimidated to ever like read them, because I'm a very slow reader. That's a lot of commitment for
they're
those
big
They're a
books.
slog.
Yeah.
But I still want to, and I at least The Hobbit. I want to read The Hobbit.
The Hobbit's
and-
very short.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's one of
So
those that I'm
it's
like, I can't wait to have a kid so I can just read it to them. You know what I mean?
It's tiny.
It's a
It's
tiny
so
little
small. It's a small little book.
Yeah,
And it's all its own contained story.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So it'll happen. It's gonna happen. Maybe this time.
One thing am I wrong about this? But I feel like with the original, I feel like with a lot of fandoms nowadays, they make a film of it and there's this whole community of people, of gatekeepers who are kind of like, you're not really the fans of this.
Mhm.
I'm sure that happened a little bit with The Lord of the Rings, but I feel like the films were lovingly made enough that it just felt like this sort of welcoming everybody in a way that I liked. I'm sure it
That's
wasn't
awesome.
exactly that way. That's likely. But I'm not sitting here like, oh, you only saw Return of the King. It's like, who cares? Like, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
I love it.
Yeah,
I agree.
we'll strive to be the best representation of Tolkien fandom.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no toxic versions at all.
And if I may, there's another thing. This is completely, we rehearsed it and it's been great, but it is Graham's birthday today and everyone needs to know this. So let's sing a quick happy birthday to him. A one, a two, a one,
Yeah.
two, three. Happy birthday
birthday.
to you. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to you.
to
Happy
you.
birthday,
birthday,
Graham. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
Oof.
Thank
That
you,
sounded
thank you
great
so
on
much.
Zoom.
It's
So good.
better than rehearsal, guys. It was
A
good.
bold
Yeah.
attempt.
I can't... Oh wait, somebody clipped that.
Oh, no. Cacophony and polyphony.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much. It is my birthday, October 6th, which some of you may be savvy enough to know is the anniversary of the day that Frodo was stabbed by the Morgul blade on Weathertop.
That's right. I did know that.
And
That's a
every
lot.
day or every year on October 6th, Frodo's wound would pain him again and he would feel, this like terrible sorrow. I don't know if that bodes well for the rest of you, but at the very least, it's thematically appropriate. We did our first half on September 22nd, Frodo and Bilbo's birthday, doing our next stream on the anniversary of Weathertop. So
That's awesome.
here we are.
Legit.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't even realize Middle Earth used this calendar.
Yeah, the halflings, the hobbits, have a Shire reckoning, and their calendar largely conforms to at least the broad strokes of
Awesome.
the Gregorian calendar.
Tolkien was making languages. He didn't need to invent entire new calendars.
Although he had this great idea of having a day that didn't pertain to any month in between every month. So every month was 30 days, and then you just had an extra day that was like a holiday.
Makes more sense.
Oh, that's
Why have
cool.
we not done that?
Makes more sense.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Wait, say that again.
Capitalism.
So every month is 30 months, and then those
30
extra
days.
one day that's at the end of every other month is just it's in between each month, and it doesn't pertain. There's no 31st.
It's just a free day.
It's just a holiday. Yeah,
Why haven't we done that?
it's brilliant.
Dude, have it off work. Oh, that'd be
We're lame.
delightful. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just have it by its name, whatever day it is. Oh, that's awesome.
Free day.
Well,
Get out
let's
of
make it happen.
Sorry.
Well, as we kind of ease in here to our session, let me just say a couple things. So, those who watched the first stream will know that the One Ring Second Edition was kickstarted, I think earlier this year, by Free League Publishing. It's not yet available, but I believe the Kickstarter rewards are meant to be delivered sometime in the next month or two. I think November was kind of the range that they said. So we look forward to getting that. This is kind of like the preview alpha version of the rules that backers were given. Yeah, we're really looking forward to trying it out. We've had a good time with it so far. What else was I going to say? In terms of content warning for this session, there may be some discussion of like colonialism, maybe. So if that's something that riles you up, be aware of that. Obviously, we're not pro-colonialists here. And then let me also just say, yeah, we'll probably have some death. we'll try to make these things like emotional and character driven and not gratuitous or offensive. But obviously that's what the chat's for. If something comes up, and obviously as players, if anything comes up, let me know. We'll handle it. Yeah, let us give a quick kind of recap in preparation for jumping in here. So, the year is, oh boy, it's 3 years before Frodo departs from Hobbiton on his important journey with the ring. Our characters here aren't necessarily aware of any of those kinds of events, but what they've been dealing with was a mystery. In Bree, at the Inn of the Prancing Pony, a stranger from the far south stumbled into the inn and seemed to be fading in and out of this kind of ethereal or shadow form. And as they breathed their last breath, you were able to prevent them from becoming a wraith and make them comfortable and at peace as he passed away. Then you followed the trail of evidence and things that he had mentioned to the Old Forest, a very strange place feared by many of the hobbits in the eastern lands outside of the eastern land, like the eastern half of the Shire. And you headed into the forest where you dealt with some like sentient trees that were trying to waylay you, as well as trees that were out and out attacking some of these refugees from the land of Harad, which is far to the south, where this stranger had come from. And you gathered that refugees had been coming up the coast from Harad, fleeing some kind of political peril, and that they made mention of a sorcerer who was, or who had, the heart of the scorpion. And that is kind of where we left off, where we were cut off. So as we pick up this session, you've been traveling now along the Withywindle River and into the depths of the Old Forest, finding little pockets of these refugees, and you've managed to collect about 20 people under your care who were lost, waylaid, or suffering within the forest. Some of the Haradrim you had encountered were combative. They were fighting some of these refugees as if they were like a force that came up the river on a boat looking to hurt them. So you're aware that the Haradrim who are fleeing their land have brought with them some kind of weapon, but you're not quite sure what the meaning of that is. And that's kind of where we left off. So as we pick up, we didn't mention much about who your characters are. So why don't we have each character kind of give a little description of what they've been doing as you've been traveling through the forest and coming upon these straggling travelers and rescuing them. The floor is yours.
Cynewen is she's a very laid back, very dirty ranger who dirty in the looks. Just saying.
We assumed.
Dirty in the looks, of
dirty
course.
in the looks.
Oh, Dustin.
And she basically all what you'd get from her from seeing our previous episode is that she's not too trusting of hobbits, and yet she protects them because that is what she is meant to do. But yeah, anyway, she's also is this just known about rangers that they're all Númenorian?
Probably not widely known.
Okay,
No.
well, never mind then.
I mean, you would know.
Well, yeah, I'm Númenorian.
Excellent.
That's a big deal. I
I'm
suppose.
Presbyterian. No, just kidding.
Anyway,
Great.
That's
Thank
me.
you.
Well, I guess as the Hobbit who is trying to win Cynewen over, Rowan Brockhouse, a Hobbit of the Western Shire, so a little far afield from home, here out toward Bree. Rowan, just as a reminder, very true to her name, red curly hair, very red cheeks, gets even redder when she is embarrassed. Otherwise, a fairly average hobbit in stature, a young hobbit to be venturing out. Rowan has just reached her 33rd year, so it was a good time, her coming of age, to go out on a big grand adventure. I believe, as we're going along and collecting these refugees, I am a treasure hunter. I'm a bit sneaky. I do disappear into the shadows very well, like many hobbits can. So I think that I spend a lot of time listening to them. I can't understand them if they're speaking in their native tongue, of course, but occasionally can overhear words or catch glimpses of treasures that they might have snuck from home that I'm very just eager to learn more about, and maybe even get. I'm not gonna steal anything from anybody, but just get my hands on a little bit, maybe just to have something as a keepsake to take home, a taste of what might be to come. But otherwise, I'm just trying to be helpful and keep pace with this ranger and these elves who are much more experienced than I am.
Excellent. Yeah, you'll have noticed, and maybe even surprised by how familiar the interactions and demeanor of these people from, obviously very culture that's very foreign to you. But, it becomes clear to you as you watch them that they are really just like the folk that you've interacted with, maybe a little more desperate, a little more troubled than most hobbits you know.
Lindir is a tall elf of Linden who has been traveling, who was, when the traveler came into the Prancing Pony, was with his companion Elonara. They send lots of sort of barbs back and forth, and they sort of seem to have this history that gets implied here and there. But probably as Rowan is like helping these, so we finished this fight with these people, and then we're kind of these refugees have been in this kind of chaos. There's this big tree that was fighting them, so we're kind of like maybe setting up camp for them, or
it's 2 days later, and you have
great.
been traveling throughout the forest, gathering more and more.
Oh, so there's a bunch of, how many people are there?
15.
Okay, so we've been getting all these people together, and there's like maybe a point where there's some people with jewelry or whatever, and something like a bracelet falls off, and Rowan sort of grabs for it. I say, "Careful there, that's not yours." Give it back to the person.
I was just trying to make sure they didn't leave it behind.
Yes, certainly. But yeah, sort of generally trying to help people and keep a bit of a watch, make sure that everyone's organized, probably to the point of being like a little bit less useful than he thinks he's being, but but wants to be useful.
Excellent.
Ted, how did you describe him last time? Was he like a moon wreathed in fog or something?
Yeah, I had a very big Tolkien-esque description.
Yeah, I
him.
remember tall he stands and fair.
Yes. Yes.
So Elonara is exactly what you would think of if you think of a typical Tolkien elf. She is beautiful and a little mysterious, and I think that at home she's like a beautiful fish in a pond full of beautiful fish. But I think part of the reason that she comes out into the world is that she really gets to feel like she can shine. And so she really leans into that mysterious elf persona. And so I think she's just going around like offering her aid, trying to heal people and be this like fair maiden of health and healing. And that's what she's been doing. And probably Lindir is the only one who would recognize that she's really kind of laying it on thick for these refugees.
Very cool.
I don't think they need that much ointment, Elonara.
What were you doing again? Oh, wait, that's right, with accents. What were you doing again, Lindir? Are you going to go watch that group of people for the third time?
I'm making sure we're all organized and that no one's getting lost among the sentient trees.
Oh, yes, the sentient trees.
I'll leave you to your business, and you can leave me to mine.
As Cynewen is collecting some what am I trying to say? Resources, I guess, some food, to kind of store from the nearby trees and whatnot. I think she puts that down. She goes over to find whatever one of the refugees she had talked to previously when they were being attacked, or whoever she has gathered could be possibly some sort of a leader for them. She wants to find them.
Yeah, so there is a woman named Kudar who has spoken to you a little bit throughout the time that you've been kind of gathering people together, but you've noticed that she clearly is at least like has a connection with many of the people, and that they seem to look to her as some kind of uniting figure. She, you learn as you kind of talk with her, she's a former merchant, and that she left actually a very thriving business in the lands about 30 miles south of Umbar, which is kind of a metropolitan area in the far south that was once colonized by Gondor and then taken over by the Haradrim. I don't know, some decades ago.
Kudar, are you all right? Are you hurt at all?
No, I've done very well. We have some of us who are hurt, but with your help, things are on the mend. My troubles come through anxiety over this weapon that was taken by the sorcerer.
What can you tell me about it?
There's very little that I know. I was not involved in its theft, but my understanding is that some of the people who didn't survive the journey north had taken it from the possession of this sorcerer, the Heart of the Scorpion, and that the weapon would have benefited him in exacting tyranny over our people, and it was taken from his clutches and brought here where it could escape him.
Which is why he seeks, he sent his, do I know, did they say that he's coming, or did that he just...
Someone said that he is coming.
Okay.
It's unclear if he has come yet, and Kudar does not know.
Okay.
Kudar, can I, Lindir maybe sort
Please.
of...
Yeah, I think at some point Cynewen looked up and tried to make eye contact with the two elves, maybe not Rowan.
I'm listening. He just sounds.
Yeah. Lindir maybe holds out his cloak a little bit to let Rowan come along without Cynewen necessarily seeing. Kudar, we, even among the elves, are ignorant somewhat of both the weaponry and of the recent history in Harad. Do you know anything of the materials or the forger of this weapon? And also, what can you tell us about the sorcerer himself?
The sorcerer, she, looks to Cynewen, gets the translation, and then, passes this on to you. The sorcerer came into power, had claimed a small fief near Umbar, and his power continued to grow over time. He was being fed knowledge, other sorcerous power, and slowly growing in his dominion. It is not an area that I am very familiar with. My business stayed mostly free and independent until I was forced out. I couldn't continue to conduct business while also holding the political views that I had, and so I gathered as many of the people from my lands as I could and brought them north. We met up with several other groups who had fled similar situations even further south, and just became sort of a collection of those fleeing the tyranny that was beginning in the south. This sorcerer, though, was not one of the peoples that I'm familiar with, and she shares a name which you don't really have a translation for, but it seems to be like, when she says it, it represents a collection of different cultures that are kind of considered Haradrim, but they're clearly not like one monolithic block of like evil, corrupt people, but that, there's this very complicated political situation, but the various cultures sort of refer to like people on our side of the river, maybe you might say, with like this kind of long name that you can't quite piece together in terms of what it actually means. But yeah, So I'll use the word Haradrim, but clearly she seems to be referencing like a group of various cultures who are cooperating because they have enough of a common language that they can communicate. But she says that the sorcerer is not one of them, so not what you would call Haradrim.
So what I'm hearing is that we need to find whoever currently possesses this weapon, find it, and use it against this.
I suppose so.
Scorpion
I can't tell you. You know, you asked what materials it would be made of, what form it takes, and of that I know nothing.
Do you know
Go.
who would have it?
Well, it was carried by one of the ships that came up the coast, and we were unable to rendezvous with them when we struck into this river valley.
Are we near the river right now?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave this conversation, just walk right towards the river. I just want to, while they're talking, I just want to go see if I can pick up any clues.
Yeah, we can't talk to them because you're the translator.
Oh no! Okay, I forgot about that. Never mind. I'll stay.
You're good.
I'll start walking away.
Yeah, everyone kind of looks around like, how are we going to make this work?
And then right. You need me. All right. Sorry. Continue.
We can walk along the river together, perhaps, as we discuss. If you have a moment, Kudar.
Of course.
So you can, as you're translating and looking
Perfect.
for clues.
Yeah. So I want to walk that way and look. I mean, just to see if I could. I mean, I know the area somewhat.
Yeah, so you would know that you're not very familiar with the Withy Windle, but you know that eventually it strikes into the Brandywine River and flows south to the sea, southwest. So you assume that they came up the Brandywine and then tried to head for cover in the old forest where the Withy Windle flows. And they must have gotten separated. So if you have any hope of finding the rest of the refugees, particularly those that carried this item, they would be either downriver toward the sea or up the Brandywine further into what is essentially the Shire.
Right.
That seems unlikely. So probably, based on your knowledge of the land, they would be further downriver and either were waylaid or captured or something.
My best guess is that we head farther downriver. This ship, the one that we found you all running from, I don't think anyone would have gone farther north than that. So, if we want to find more, I think they'd be farther south.
Through the Barrow Downs, then. They're south of the Old Forest, is that correct?
Let's see. The Barrow Downs.
Or are they more east?
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, if you're following the river, you would pass alongside the Barrow Downs.
Yeah, they're not it's not like river hills.
Question is, what shall we do with all of these non-combatants?
Well, the question is, what do they want? Could you ask Kudar for me what their plans are, what we can do to help them?
Which will tell you that they didn't really have much of a plan other than to get north and flee, get this the weapon and whatever possessions they have out of the hands of the tyrant. And so they don't know the land up here. They're really unsure of where to head. So they're interested in if there's a place that they can either settle or a track that they can follow further north. They just want to stop being bothered and attacked.
Am I right in assuming that Haradrim might have trouble sort of getting along easily with the natives up here for linguistic and other reasons, or no?
Yeah. I mean, probably the biggest barrier would be the fact that they don't speak the language. In that case, Cynewen is actually a great asset up here and could probably do a lot of good in helping them navigate. The Shire, they're very protective, and they have pretty hard borders where the people who watch the edges of the Shire, and if people come and try to enter who seem like suspicious, or particularly the big folk, they will at least try to turn them away.
Oh.
Are
What about the trees?
Yeah, so throughout your time in the forest, the trees have definitely seemed to be pressing closer, like they're anxious for you to leave.
Well,
They
that's
keep
what I'm
exhibiting
wondering.
behavior, yeah.
I would like to try to speak to the trees and see if I can get them to show the
Hell
refugees
yeah.
how to get back to the Prancing Pony
Awesome.
or somewhere safe.
Yeah. The Prancing Pony is probably a fairly safe place. Yeah, all right, great. So go ahead as you try to whisper to the trees. What does that seem like?
To outsiders, it would just sound like in like a really beautiful elven language, just very sensual, very like mystical. But like really she's just saying like, hey trees, can you show these fine folk how to get out of your forest, please, to a safe place? Thank you.
Yeah, almost as a sigh and release of tension, you feel this the tree just kind of shudder, and you hear in words that are not Sindarin, but you understand them nonetheless. The tree says, "Show you the way out. All leave."
I'll leave. I get it. Yes, we will all leave. Yeah. Oh, British. Yes, with an accent. Yes, we will all leave.
Be not here. Sleep or die.
Lindir.
Yes.
The tree has let me know that we must leave or die, sleep or die, and also leave. We might want to get moving, is what I'm trying to say.
It sounds like you were quite persuasive.
I was Anne.
All right. Well, we should send them north then. We can give them directions to the Prancing Pony. It's not too difficult. Yes, if they head north, they'll get to the road.
The question of communication is still unresolved.
What if why don't we give you the choice? You and your people take the night. Is it night? Is it nighttime?
It's getting there, yeah.
Take this night to talk it over. We'll camp near the river, not by the forest where the trees will kill us. Talk it over. Voice. Talk it over with your people. With not your people, but you know what I'm saying. And you have two choices. I can write you a letter that you can present to the people of Bree, and that on my request that they give you pardon. Or if you are all fit to travel, you could come with us farther south until we find better arrangements for you.
This missive that you'll send with us, you think it will be enough?
Quick flashback to my time at the Prancing Pony.
Yeah, you think that if there's any question of permanent settlement, you think the Brelanders would be very hesitant to suddenly take in a whole bunch of people. But you think that you also might be the key to making that go smoothly. So it might be, a journey of a few days to get back to the Prancing Pony. But if you accompanied them, you feel, confident that you are the one who would be well positioned to negotiate this.
I turn to the others.
You who tried to extort the innkeeper last session.
I was just trying to intimidate him, not extort.
Yeah.
I guess both. A little bit both.
If we are to take several days, will we lose the chance of finding whoever it is who has this weapon? That's my fear. Or
Thus far, their movement has been northward. Perhaps that will, be a good sign.
Continue. All right. Well then, yes, we can't leave these people out here, especially if there are more coming from the south, more of your converted countrymen. So,
right.
I think let's go.
Well, yeah. So as you describe, you make camp. Is there anything anyone else wanted to add this night?
I think Lindir, I don't want to take too much time with this, but Lindir, I think, would go to Kudor at some point, get Cynewen's help, and maybe like a little bit more angrily than, or like frustratedly than one would expect, sort of ask, you described this upheaval, that the sorcerer has brought some change on your land and is changing the minds of many of your kin of different tribes and groupings. It seems strange to me that people would leave their land at a time of crisis. Do you not feel that you have abandoned it in some way?
Abandon? Yes, I've abandoned every piece of my life that still lives there. In fact, my husband remains there. He has fallen under the sway of the heart of the scorpion, and he could not come with me. But when there is no hope of success, how can one stay behind and face death? Better to live. All of this, of course, passed through Cynewen.
Yeah. I think Lindir will sort of catch a few looks with Elonara and probably gets the sense as he's talking that he's thinking about other people who are leaving on boats and moral decision about what that is.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention the fact that obviously your perspective on humans are that their lives are so brief and so fragile that to face death and mystery and not know what lies on the other side is one of the great crises of the human experience, which is something that you don't really struggle with.
No, not at all. But then we will do all that we can to find a place for you. This place is not perfect, and I'm sure it is quite different from your home, but we'll do what we can for you.
Not so different as you might suppose. And she kind of smiles. She'll clasp your shoulder if your body language is inviting.
Yeah. Yes.
And just hold it there for a moment, and place a hand upon her chin. And as she places her hand there, you actually notice for the first time there are tattoos running down her fingers that show the symbol of a serpent on each finger. And Cynewen, you recognize that symbol to connote someone who has won the approval of the common folk. That this is like a tattoo that marks that she's some kind of community leader.
Okay.
Well, your night passes first slowly, tensely, as you can feel the trees shuddering, almost like they're swaying and plotting against your presence here in the forest. The bitterness that exists here is so palpable. However, that is not what awakes whoever is on watch. And I'll let you decide who is on watch, but I shouldn't say wake. The rest of you are awoken, but the person whoever decides they're on watch suddenly is roused to a great danger.
Not me. I already failed at being the watch person last time.
Unless, Rowan, do you think you'd want to do it, or should I do it?
I could be on watch. I certainly don't mind.
Great. Never mind.
I am keen-eyed, so I think that I can spot many things in the dark.
Yes. What you spot is that there is a boat moving up the river very slowly and absolutely silent. There's no sound of lapping waves or of the current striking against this boat. And the only reason you can see it in the dark forest is that there's just this patch of deeper night that seems to be gliding along the river. And as you watch it glide up, it comes whatever distance you feel kind of safe to allow it before you make a decision about what to do. So it's up to you whether that's 100 feet or 50 feet.
It probably a little further back. I don't know that I grew up like right near water, but I've been enough through the countryside that I know this isn't how boats are supposed to work. Even the smallest and sleekest rowboats still make noise. You can still hear like the lapping of the water and everything. So I think probably 100 feet or so, as I'm staring out in the dark, I very quietly run over and shake Cynewen. Miss Cynewen,
yes.
Lindir, sir, Elonara, there's a boat coming that is not acting like boats should.
Cynewen's up.
It's there in the darkness, and with it a sort of shadow. It seems highly unnatural, and with what we've heard from our new friends here, it's a bit concerning.
Thank you, Rowan. Good eye. And I'm gonna follow Cynewen.
Okay. Yeah, as you approach, you see that on the sides of the boat are banners, and there's no wind. The air is absolutely still and hush, but you can see these banners are flapping violently as though the boat is, sailing across a gale force wind. The boat is also rocking and, what is the word? Like breaking against waves that are not there. Clearly, the whatever this is not a material substance. And Elonara, since you have shadow lore, you recognize this as a boat that exists within the shadow realm and is like peeping into the natural world. It has every hallmark of being a wraith ship.
Cynewen, that boat is not of this world. That is a wraith ship. Be careful.
Would I think it could be carrying this sorcerer? Or would I have any reason to?
If it's a wraith ship, it wouldn't be carrying a person, likely. Okay. Elonara would be able to answer that.
It would not likely be carrying any person of this realm. Graham, is there anything that I could do to try and, how would I know? Could we deter this boat in some way or protect ourselves from it? If it's not of this world, can we interact with it?
You would be able to interact with it in certain ways. Wraiths, they still possess senses, although their strongest senses are ones that interact with spirit and shadow. So you know of certain herbs, for example, the Athelas plant is great at kind of enheartening people and protecting against the dangers of wraith and sorceress influence. Probably as an elf, your first instinct would be to invoke the name of Elbereth, who is the evening star, the guardian of elfkind.
Then I think Elonara will step forward and she will say, in the name of Elbereth, you may not cross onto these grounds. Stay away. And I'm going to pull out my bow too and point it.
And
Great.
If I see her do that, I'll draw a Nurendu.
Yeah, it's very cool. Is there a skill test that you think would go along with what you're attempting to do, Emma?
Yeah. I have Persuade. I have Enhearten. Maybe Persuade or Song. I also have Song. Awe? I don't know. I haven't used a lot of
I think actually awe is probably the closest of what you're trying to do. The other ones seem like they would affect your allies. So if you wanted to embolden your allies, that's absolutely a viable way to use that action. But if you're trying to get the enemies to get scattered or stand back, then awe would be perfect, I think.
And then I have 2 little diamonds by that, but I don't have I'm not favored in it. So do I roll 2?
Okay, so you roll 1d12
Okay.
as your feat die, and then you would roll the 2 d6s for the skill ranking.
And I could spend a hope to give her more dice equal to the number of things that I have because I'm like not specialized or whatever. I'm favored in awe.
Yeah, since you're favored, you could definitely lend those.
Okay. So I will spend a hope and give you 3 additional d6s.
Thank you.
I'll step
All
alongside you and speak in Elvish.
One of those d6s is a 6.
Awesome.
Oh gosh, math. 2 5s, 10. 2 and 1, 13, and then 6, 19, and then I got a 5 on my D12. 24?
Is that a 24?
Yeah.
Okay, and awe uses your strength. So what is your target number for strength?
My
16, I think?
Yes. And my 24 is what's written in the diamond below that has endurance written by it, if that matters. I don't know if it does.
Yep. So you succeed, and you succeed so well. How many 6s did you roll?
1.
1. Okay. And I think you get an additional 1 for the margin by which you succeeded.
Oh, okay. Haha.
So you've got 2 successes. What this will do is you can see pieces of this ethereal boat beginning to break off. Now, of course, it's nighttime. Your vision is a little more keen at night. And as this happens, it's like a piece of its ethereal existence kind of passes away or drifts off. And within the hull of the ship now is visible to you the form of a king. He's wearing a great crown, and in his hand you can see this kind of like terrible looking sword. He is made of shadow. This is clearly a wraith. And this ship is composed of like the essence of what this figure used to be before he was transformed into a wraith. You recognize his, like the aspect of his silhouette, even though you can't really quite see what it is, but you recognize him as looking like a king of ancient Arnor. So the Arnorians are descended from the Numenorians, so they would be closely related to Cynewen. But yeah, if you imagine basically like this kind of Aragorn figure, or even like the ring wraiths look when Frodo puts on the ring, you have this sort of flash of that as pieces of the boat start to drift off into the fog around the river. And the king seems like his attention does not waver from the 2 elves, as well as Cynewen. He has not, as is very typical, taken notice of this small halfling, Rowan. But his like what you perceive of his gaze is glaring down at you from the hull of the ship. Now the ship is passing. It's about 100 feet away now and slowly getting closer. And again, it's kind of like braking as if traveling along the sea. Even though it's the river's probably like, I don't know, 6 feet deep.
It is coming at us, not like past us. On the river.
Upriver, so it would pass you along the river. Yeah.
I kind of call out to Lindir and Elonara saying, are we sure this is a battle that we want to enter? And I kind of gesture back to all the refugees behind us. If we have a choice, should we just stick to the shadows and run?
You would let this thing come closer to the Shire.
Is that where it's headed?
I mean, it's going.
It's heading upriver,
along the border,
basically toward, in general's terms.
Dang, Cynewen's torn.
I think Lindir in the moment will like hold out his blade and like step forward onto some of into the water, and try another awe just to see if we could if another call of the same type will have any effect upon it. And I'll just call out the battle cry of the north, Laco Khalad Dregomorn, and hold out my blade towards this thing. So I'll roll a d12 and the 3 dice that I have in awe, which gets me no 6s, but 11 plus 5 plus 5, 21, 25, 25 over my 15.
Okay, very nice. And how many 6s?
0 6s.
Okay.
No offense.
So again, you see like almost like a force break against this figure. The most of the ship now passes away, leaving him almost like this image of this king kind of levitating above the water, rocking and passing toward you. As you say this, in return, you hear this fell voice, low and kind of high-pitched, but it carries quickly towards you, right to your ears. And the voice says, "Banners low, cold be shield, fall upon the trodden field."
I'll like step back a little bit up, back onto the shore.
And the voice is speaking in Sindarin with a strong Numenorian accent. Cynewen, you would know that the Barrow Downs, the lands kind of along the southern part of the Brandywine, just below the forest, are kind of a notorious burial ground for Arnorian kings who were corrupted by Shadow as these lands were kind of lost to the kingdom and claimed by other forces. We won't get into too much.
Let me ask this, because I maybe I've been playing this the wrong way a little bit in my mind. Is this a very foreign sight for Cynewen? I just assumed
Probably.
that she'd never seen anything like this.
No, probably not. But you've probably heard ghost stories about the Barrow Downs and the kings that walk at night and steal the life of the living.
All right, cool.
And this wouldn't. Okay, so my immediate assumption was like, okay, if this is a king of Arnor, this could be one of the 9 kings who held the the rings of power.
But you would likely know that the kings who were corrupted by the rings of power were not from Arnor. They were from Angmar and other realms.
Yes, the other A kingdom. I did terribly in my elf geography.
So the Arnorians were defeated by the Witch King of Angmar.
Gotcha.
And I don't say that with any sense that like you should have known this, but your character certainly would know.
Yes, gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Cynewen is going, or Elonara is going to say, Cynewen, finish this.
I will step up by, I don't know, is Lindir still up there?
Yeah.
I will take my Numenorian axe, Nurendil, sorry, so many words, Nurendil, and I will just kind of hold it out like this, pointing a little bit towards this king, and I'll say, Ancestor, leave this realm now, or we'll be forced to push you out.
And I want to give Cynewen
making cool statements.
No, you're doing great. You're so good. I'm gonna give you one of my. I'm gonna pay it forward and give you. I'm gonna spend one of my hope. Is that what I do to let you use 2d6 for your roll? What
Although
Ted did
I think
for me?
if you're not favored, you
can't
be
do
able
it.
to. Yeah.
Dang it, I
Is this an
can't.
awe for me?
I'm just gonna give you thumbs up.
Thanks.
I can give you a hope to do if it's awe.
Yeah,
So-
first let me say,
Okay.
Cynewen, that if what you're trying to do is similar to the others in like commanding this presence to flee, then yeah, it would be an awe. Very similar role to the ones the others made. Now, Lindir, if you would like to help, just narrate how that. I know that you already said something, but is there something specifically for Cynewen that you do to help her?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Maybe you see her kind of falter in her hope and feel the need to step up and help.
Yeah, I think it's probably just sort of a standing. She comes forward, and has her big, glorious axe. It's an axe.
It's an axe, yeah. And it's,
yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, with it, too, it's a Numenorian great axe of undead bane.
Yep.
I mean,
gosh.
I want to kind of intimidate Wraith holding it, and also I suppose through saying ancestor, maybe it knows that I'm an heir of Arnor and would, I don't know if that would make
that absolutely tracks. a couple things you would know about your blade. It's made with undead bane very specifically because the Witch King who corrupted these lands was a longtime enemy of your ancestors, and this axe was actually forged specifically to defeat the undead servants of the Witch King, of which this is likely one.
Okay. So this is let's see, Lindir gave me 3d6, is that right?
Yeah, just with like sort of a like stepping to the side and giving a very like Gandalf-y nod of like, you got this.
And then I am favored in this, so I have a 2d12. And I'm trying to beat the big number in my strength column, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the one that says TN, so it's for you. It is, sorry, I'm navigating all my tabs.
It's okay, honestly.
It's a 12,
it's a
actually,
12,
pretty
yeah.
low.
Which doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but I got a 12 on my d12.
You got the Gandalf rune!
Yeah! And then,
Okay.
yeah.
You succeed stupendously. You can go ahead and narrate how you would like to cast away this enemy who's approaching along the river.
I think, as I say, or we will push you out, and Lindir with your presence, and Elonara with just like the light maybe coming from the moon, glistening off of them and off the water. All of that light kind of collects around the gleam of the blade, and it like. Maybe through some sort of like perspective shift from the way that we can see it, that light starts to just kind of overtake the shadow on the river, and until it just kind of disperses, you know.
Yeah, and coming from the sky behind the axe's head, you can see the trees kind of the leaves flutter and part, and the bright moon pours through, creating this almost shaft of light that passes across your axe and down through the trees onto the river. And as the light strikes the river, you can see the boat, anything that was left of it, and the figure of this Wraith King disappears within the light like a shadow, just instantly banished by the presence of light. As that happens, you hear this kind of quailing like groan. As it passes along the river, you see this wind pick up and blow straight across the camp of refugees, and to Kudar, you can almost see a shadowy hand reaching out, and then as it kind of passes her face, the shadow is dissipated entirely by the light of the moon. Your axe feels cold and tingling in your hand as you maybe there's even like a moon rune on it that kind of glows.
There's a moment where Cynewen just maybe looks up to the moon, closes their eyes, and says a quick thank you under her breath. Turning to the others, right. Well, that takes care of that. Shall we check on the others? Do I see Rowan anywhere?
Rowan is standing behind Lindir and Elonara, but like gripping her axe, like this is coming to this. But just in awe of what she just saw. But I'm right there.
I think Cynewen gives Rowan like a look, and in the darkness, I don't know if you can tell if it's like a smirk or not, or if it's just I don't know. But I kind of walk by Rowan there.
Sort of, where can I find an axe like that?
There.
I'm gonna chase after Cynewen.
Oh, you just say that to yourself, got it.
You can answer. You could.
Did you say that out loud? Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I say, there is no other axe like this. I'm gonna go back and check on Kudar.
Great. As you approach, you see that she is caught in like this tense rigor, and she's not breathing.
Kudar. Lindir, Elonara, quick.
Are the others awake?
Yeah, people are now starting to awake. Most of them missed what happened.
Gotcha.
Uh,
I think Lindy will just look to Elonara.
I want to try to assess what's happening. Can I roll for healing to try and help her?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now. In terms of assessing, you know right off the bat that wraiths possess something which your folk have called the Black Breath, which is it's almost like a soul sickening thing that causes such deep despair that has a physical ailment that manifests.
Did you say the black despair?
The Black Breath.
She has the black breath. And I'm fumbling through my herbs looking for something that I can give her.
You have a wonderful little pouch that is filled with crushed athelas leaves.
That's right.
Which they have a lot of kind of minor like enheartening and healing properties, but are particularly effective against this. So yeah, go ahead and make a heal test.
And I am favored in this, so I roll 2d12.
Yeah, and keep the higher.
Okay, whoops. Let's see what we got here, guys. Okay, 10 on the d12. 5, 6, 1. That's another 12, and then 4 and 4, 8. Is that somewhere in the 30s? I'm bad at math.
Yeah, but you don't add the second 12. You just keep the higher of the two.
It's advantage of those.
10.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I got
Okay.
a 4, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 1, and a 10.
Wow, that's a lot. Oh, I forgot that. Yeah, your healing is good. Okay. So you quickly you can narrate this too if you want. I don't know if you have a strong thought of what you want to do.
I think that I guess we're all like kind of leaning over her, and I'm just gonna like take the leaves and sort of just like crush them in my fingers and just like maybe be like saying some sort of prayer in Elven as I like I don't know, sprinkle seems like the wrong word, but like kind of sprinkle it over her and just like put a hand to her chest, almost like I'm trying to use my energy to push this phlegmy black shroud thing out of her and up into the air.
Okay.
Like it's a bunch of mucus.
Yeah. As you do that, it seems to work. The shadow passes away from her face and she relaxes. And you see she's breathing very shallowly. And she's not entirely healed. She will need more care. And it would take you probably several days to like fully help her. And there's like a component to it as well that's like an emotional healing that needs to happen. You sense that like the despair of having left her husband and lost everything, it has like really taken root in a tangible way. As you're making this realization, you suddenly hear coming from deeper in the woods a voice, at first like kind of far away, and it's starting to get closer, and it is singing. You suddenly hear a voice. Hey, come, merry doll, dearie doll, my darling, white goes the weather wind and the feathered starling.
What was that?
What is that horrible sound?
I think it sounds rather nice. I don't know what you're talking about. We could use a friend. It sounds like a friend.
Rowan, would you like to go investigate this for us?
I will.
Thank you. And I will just keep attending to our friend there.
Okay. The voice gets louder and continues along the path. One moment here while I look up some text. I've got like a little cough too. Here we go. The voice again says, hey, come, merry doll, dearie doll, and merry goldberry, mellow yellow berry, ho. Poor old willow man, you tuck your roots away. Tom's in a hurry now, evening will follow day. Tom's going home again, water lilies bringing. Hey, come, dearie doll, can you hear me singing? And into view hops more than walks this very round, rather tall, human-looking person who has a big brown beard, a blue jacket, which is caught in the light of the moon as he kind of thumps into the thicket, and bright yellow boots. And this kind of like felt hat that looks a little bit crushed and tarnished as he...
No!
Oh,
No!
It's happening all over again.
comes bouncing through the forest and he says, "What are you doing here?" Oh no, my internet is unstable.
No, that was hilarious.
Not now.
Not when we got to the best part.
Am I here? Am I here?
Yeah,
Right now you are.
Good, you're
Okay.
good.
Apparently this only happens when we stream the One Ring.
And only in the last section.
The shadow.
Yeah. Okay. So the figure says, "Oh, what is this? A merry gathering, I see. You strange folk here who don't belong in the forest. What you'd be doing?"
Since I ran up to meet this mystery person who I have no idea who this could be, I ran up. Sir, it's a pleasure to meet you. I might do a little curtsy. Is this your home here in these woods? You seem quite familiar with it.
Oh, steady there. This land is my domain. I know the way around this place. You be looking for somewhere safe to rest, I'll warrant.
We definitely are. There's somebody who here is very hurt, and a whole group of people who we need help getting to safety. And it's awfully good timing that you showed up now, sir.
Oh, a mighty big company you've got here. And he kind of like ambles over toward the group of packs and bedrolls. He says, "Strange folk up here. Never come to my forest before, but I see you've been in great need." And he kind of like bends down, getting almost uncomfortably close to Kudar, and he says, "Oh, the presence of the Black Breath. Your face has been graced by the breath of the wraiths. You best come with Tom now. Tom Bombadil will bring you all along home to stay with me and his fair Goldberry. Come along, hop along, my merry hearties." And he kind of like bounces along the path. He is looking back and kind of waiting for you to respond, even though he seems suddenly like in a hurry to go.
Do we know him? Like, is he infamous enough that we would know him?
This is one where I will ask for a roll.
Okay.
So let's have you roll your choice of lore.
Yes.
Or you could even roll you could do a song roll if someone has like a good song rating.
I'm just gonna say outright, I do not know him. Simply for Justin's own role-playing sake.
Great. Sounds good. Well, none of you would have met him before, but you might have heard stories about him.
I'm favored in lore and have three dots on it, so I can spend a hope and give you one, Elonara. Give you some.
I actually got a 17, which is enough, which passes my TN of 13. So I think I have heard tale of this merry gentleman and a brief sigh of relief.
And what you've heard before is the name Yarwine, who is considered eldest, some kind of nature spirit being who is so at one with the forest that they are considered master of this place.
Are you Yarnwine, of who I have heard tale?
Oh, that's the name they gave me when the sun was shining first upon the hills. The elves came and spoke with me, and I taught them many things. But such things are best left to the old songs and stories. You're in your own story now. Best come with me before it's too late for your friend. Will you bear them?
Yes, we shall. And then I look to Lindir.
And Lindir shares a glance with Cynewen, sort of like, who is this person? Not having done his well, I'm just gonna roleplay that he has no idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
It's gonna say, and as they like get some Harad people on their backs, like sort of help them get, if they're sleeping children or something, or getting people through the woods. I think we'll turn to Cynewen and say, this is it common among your people to walk drunkenly through the trees and sing in the middle of the night?
Well, I
mean,
wish
it is
I
with
could
my
say
people,
no, but yeah, a bit more of hobbits, I suppose. Pardon me.
None of us are so tall.
Yarwin?
Yarwine,
was it? You say you claim these woods?
I make no claim of ownership over anything, but I am eldest here. Everything listens to me, because I was here first.
Oh, well, that's mighty convenient, actually. We are looking for some sort of weapon. You see, against.
Yes. You seek the scorpion which has come up from the desert to penetrate the heart of the forest here. We'll speak more of this inside. Let us get your friend to safety.
Sounds good.
Right, so we'll bring all the people through and follow Yarwin.
Okay, he continues this like very silly singing as he's kind of like bouncing along the path. But the very sound of his voice and his sort of jovial demeanor is so strong that at first you might kind of shake your head and wonder. But by the time you reach his house, which you can now see resting upon a hill in a great kind of curve and slope in a clear area of the forest, by the time you reach his house, your wonder is more at the fact that your hearts feel so lifted and so enheartened. And it's like that feeling of when you give up all your kind of adult rationality and just play with a child. Except that in this case, that child is taking care of you.
Anyone standing close to Cynewen would hear that she is humming. I don't even know if she's aware of it, but she's sort of humming under her breath as she goes.
Oh, Lindir's full-throated singing with Tom by the end of it.
Excellent. And you can see the Haradrim are certainly mystified by the whole thing. The fact that they can't understand any of what Yarwine is saying, they still are kind of amused and wondrous, but like instantly recognize that this is a friend, a caretaker.
I would translate real quick to them. Just, this crazy man is taking us to safety.
Excellent.
I'm gonna keep pace with Rowan for the duration, and perhaps we will do a little dance together along the way.
Yeah, excellent. I assume that Rowan is responding in the way that Jean is responding.
Yes. Very, very excited.
Well, the doors open upon a dry and warm kind of living quarter. You can see a fairly long table and a hearth beside it. And you get inside, everyone huddles along this table that you kind of like just fit, either sitting by the fireplace on these like wonderful little simple wooden chairs, or at the table on stools. And Yarwine, or Tom Bombadil, continues kind of busying, just humming himself. Hey, come, derry doll, I'll get you some merry all. And he starts pouring drinks, and he doesn't have like a meal prepared, but he passes around this like wonderful fluffy loaf of white bread, and these huge dishes of rich, almost golden butter. He kind of passes them along, and he says, simple fare for simple visitors, but I suppose we'll eat better on the morrow. You haven't seen any sign of this person Goldberry that he's mentioned, but he kind of like isn't really interested, and anytime you try to bring up any topic of conversation with him, in terms of like your own journey and your troubles, and he'll just sort of like laugh and and like make a little gesture or like pass you food. He's uninterested in the moment in talking about any topic other than just singing and letting you know that you're safe and making sure you're comfortable. At the end of this kind of, I don't know, like small, simple meal, he will say, now you've eaten, your bellies are stuffed full, and all of you know that your hearts are lifted. What be your business? How can I help you? I suppose you'll stay the night.
Well, it seems a might be better than going back out into the woods, sir, if you'd be so kind.
Am I frozen or am I good?
No, you're there.
You're good.
Okay, great.
Did you hear Gene?
He says, yes, Tom's house is yours this night. Goldberry begins her fall regimen tomorrow, and she'll be out there brushing the leaves off the trees, cleaning the grass, getting everything ready for the snowfall.
Will we have the honor of meeting Goldberry?
I suppose she'll turn up soon enough. She comes in her own time. The only one who does not consider Tom master.
Tom,
Title.
I don't mean to rush by any means. I would have made sure that all of the refugees can get a little bit of food as well. I don't mean to rush by any means, but you said you might know something about the scorpion.
Yes. Little should we speak of this, but right now they stand in the Barrow Downs, clearing old graves, pulling up old bones, and creating spirits to frighten thee in the woods at night, sending the kings of long-forgotten bodies hailing after ye with their swords and their stones.
Yes, we've come across one of these already.
Yes, stand up nicely to it, did ye? That was what Tom heard when he came running.
I see. Tom, the Haradrim speak of a weapon that he seeks. Is there any way that you could sense this? You seem to have a great knowledge of your surroundings.
Many weapons, uncounted, lie they in the cold earth, forgotten and alone. But in these days, weapons tend to unearth themselves, find hands to wield them, and carry them into battle to shed blood and take what belongs to each one. These weapons can be defeated with hope, with appeal to the light.
I think Cynewen's lost in thought for a moment.
Do you not feel threatened, eldest?
No, nothing threatens old Tom sitting here in his cottage in the woods. No, the Barrow Downs have always been a dangerous place. Talk of them little, do we? And go there much less. But Tom is master here. All is safe. You must heed no nightly noises.
This may be so in your house, but we are concerned for the lands round about. You may not have any knowledge of this, but we would hope to find whatever this weapon is and stop it from falling into the hands of those who might use it for harm. Do you know anything of its whereabouts or anything of where we could go?
A worthy goal have ye, and accomplish it you will, with the will of all good folk that go with you. I will gather information, what I can, during the night, and in the morning I will give thee what I can.
We thank you.
Wow.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
You owe me
Elvish wine.
Yeah. Tom turns his attention toward Rowan, and he says, "A quiet thing sitting in the back of the room, behind a friend, behind a chair. Have ye naught to say?"
Well, I just didn't think I'd have much to add with such lofty company as yourself, sir. I'm really just sort of overwhelmed by all of this, but don't get me wrong. I'm happy and excited to be here. I just, what I can add is what I can add, and that's my own hands and my own eyes, and not much else than that.
He kind of leans down, very almost like goofily, as he kind of looks at you, smiling, and he says, "Great things have ye to add, and great things ye shall do. Come, sit beside me in place of honor, young lady."
Why, Thank you, sir, I will.
For this night ye shall be a hobbit, a princess, sitting at the table with royal guests.
Well, I've never much thought of being a princess, sir.
And as conversation kind of continues for the next little while, you'll notice that he continuously will defer to Rowan, ask you what you feel about questions. Kind of like if people ask him something, he'll deflect and say, I'm curious what Rowan would say to this. What advice would you give? And, it probably takes several forms over the course of the next few minutes, but it's like noticeable to everybody.
Yeah, I think we all just have a nice evening sitting together, sort of drinking and talking about things. And you probably, Lindir and maybe Elonara, I don't know, sort of ask a bit about about Bombadil's gardening and different things that he does, and how he makes his spirits and all those things.
Yeah, he certainly is very eager to talk about the good things of the earth and how he tends to them, comes to them in need. And he won't talk much about things of shadow under cover of night. He seems reluctant to do so he'll often deflect by asking Rowan a question suddenly about the ways of hobbits, how they tend their gardens, etc. And then toward the end of your chatter, he will teach you a little song that you can sing to appeal to him if you're in his lands, that you can sing. And I'm pretty sure I know it from memory, but I might as well look it up just to make sure.
It's not the birthday song, is it?
It isn't. It is not.
Thank God.
Hopefully it has a better ring. No offense, of course. So the song he teaches you is... Here we go. Old Tom Bombadil is a merry fellow, bright blue his jacket is, and his boots are yellow. None has ever caught him yet, for Tommy is the master. His songs are stronger songs, and his feet are faster. And he says, if ever you be in need, and you be within my hearing, sing this song, and I'll come to you.
How can we ever repay you for your kindness?
Oh, you'll find a way. But good things need to grow and stretch their roots deep in these lands as the shadow grows.
We shall do our best to protect these lands from the shadow. And these people.
He winks at you, obviously knowing, that you are two of the last to tarry in Middle Earth, out of probably, at least in part, that sense of stewardship. Okay, well, the night passes. You do hear some sounds at night as trees move about, sigh, even scratch at the windows. Cynewen and Rowan, you probably feel your dreams a bit troubled by the presence of this Wraith King who came up the river. But as you wake, you see that the birds are chirping loudly. It must be just after dawn. And you can hear Tom outside, kind of muffled by the walls of the cottage, but singing again.
In the morning, I think I probably wake when I have these nightmares and go outside to smoke my pipe, and just kind of be alone with my thoughts. And when the morning comes, I'd like to go to Tom. Tom, I know this is a lot to ask, but I feel that it is destiny, or rather a calling, I suppose. You giving us the information to go to the Barrow Downs. I feel it is necessary that we head there right away. And these people, these Haradrim, I had promised to take them to Bree to see if they could perhaps find housing there. Would it be possible for you to keep them here with you just for a few more days until we can come back?
let me step back for 1 second. I love where this is going, and this is actually a perfect opportunity for us to discuss one of the other kind of like formats of the way the rules in the game work. This is called the council phase, I think it's called. Council is something when you need something from someone, and it's like, like more than just asking for like a little help or a favor. This is like you're formally requesting something. There's kind of like a more formalized way to do this, and because courtesy and like the formality of this kind of treating with people is so important to the culture of Middle Earth. The way this works is that you choose a character to make kind of the introduction to the topic or the introduction to the party. In this case, Tom seems to kind of know you already, but I think this is a great chance, maybe, Cynewen, if you're interested in kind of being the one who speaks and tries to negotiate. You're also the only one who can understand everyone in the room, which helps. You can make a roll to kind of introduce this topic of request. And then as that goes on, there'll be more opportunities. Basically, like your introduction will set the amount of time and opportunity you have to convince the person to do the thing that you need from them. Okay. And what you want is a certain number of successes of continuing checks, social kind of skill tests. And depending on how difficult the thing you're requesting is, it'll have more successes required in order to get it.
Is this now throughout this phase? I mean, is this something that the others can chime in and help with too, or is it like all
absolutely
okay,
yeah.
Cool, because I was like, I'm not a social person, like I don't have good
that's totally okay
skills.
But since you're introducing the topic, you'll be the one who makes the introduction test.
Okay.
And that will determine how many opportunities for failure you can absorb, or like how many failure rolls you can absorb before you just don't get granted the thing you ask for.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. So what should I roll?
Okay, let me scroll to this part of the PDF here. Okay, so if you're doing the introduction, you can use awe if you want to impress someone, and it kind of like reveals something about you, something true about your person. Okay. You could use courtesy if you want to ask for support, especially from someone who is already friendly to you. So that might be a good one for this circumstance. And then the third option it offers is riddle. And riddle as a skill is like about trying to get information without revealing too much of your own like background or motives. So I think a good example of riddle would be like when Pippin is talking with Denethor in The Lord of the Rings, and he's trying not to tell him about Aragorn, but Denethor kind of like figures it out because he's so perceptive.
Right.
But courtesy would be, I think, probably the most.
Could I roll awe, or would you prefer I roll courtesy?
Yeah. Just go ahead and role play it in a way that is like you're being like bold and yes. trying to impress him. Yeah.
Yes. Tom, as I said, I feel it is necessary that I, with the power that I have, with what I could do last night, you said you saw, I feel a responsibility that, a calling, that I must do this again. And I'm gonna roll I have favor and a rank in it. Oh, it's not good. I got a total of an 8. And
okay, and you're
does not beat my 12.
That's below your 12,
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is that you cannot get any failures. Now, what is it? You can, as a group, you can discuss. This is where like a time when metagaming is totally okay. As a group, what would you like to request? And what you want to request will determine how many successes you need. But you basically can get no failures in this attempt.
Okay.
Tom immediately seems like he's like doesn't want to be involved in like the intricate details of the politics, that he more is like interested in what happens in his own domain.
Yeah, I mean, with the others there, I assume I probably would have said that in front of, just in public,
sure.
In the main room.
Yeah, I think the request is sort of what Cynewen's already said, which is, guests and fish stink after 3 days. I think if we can ask him to keep them for 3 days, while we go and see what we can do, then we can come back for them and leave. That would be the request.
Sounds
And-
reasonable.
And maybe we can find a way to sweeten the pot by, offering to bring back something or to do something for Tom in exchange for this, for letting them stay here. Would be like Elonara's contribution.
Cynewen might say, away from Tom, little one, he seems to really enjoy your presence. Do you think you can think of anything that might gain us a bit of favor with him?
I certainly think that I can talk to him about how this is my first big adventure away from home, and this is the most exciting thing I've ever done in my entire life. And he himself said that we were, I guess destined isn't quite the right word, but that we had great things coming ahead of us, and if this can be one of them, then we should take advantage of that and take that chance.
Cool. Sounds like you've got a pretty good plan. And asking for them to be housed here for 3 days is going to be a reasonable request. So you need, in this case, it's so reasonable, you only need 2 successes. But if you get 1 failure on either of those 2 rolls, you may not get granted what you would like. And you would be forced to then escort them yourself to Bree.
I've already done my talking bit, so I'll leave this to the Hobbit and the elves.
Yeah, Rowan should start, definitely.
Yeah.
Alright,
I think we'll all look to her.
And feel free, as you role play this, to keep in mind like what kind of check you want to make or test you want to make.
Yeah, I think I am going to appeal to his courtesy, especially because he showed me such courtesy last night. Good sir, you have demonstrated such warmth and welcome to us this past night, and I would implore you to do the same to these poor people. And if it's not too much to impose, they are set out on a great adventure of their own, only it wasn't like me and like my friends in our own choosing. They were forced into it, sir, and would it not be the most courteous and hospitable thing to do but to help shepherd and guide them in that, if only for a brief time? We only ask for a couple days' grace, sir. And I'm gonna try a courtesy check.
I am going to do something, hopefully this isn't too permissive as a lore master, but if the delivered speech touched topics that are relevant to the company's goal and that are deemed important by their audience, he's already mentioned that healing things that are within his land is very important to him. So you can enhance, if you succeed on this roll, you will automatically get an additional success.
All right.
All right.
Oh, that is a 12 on the D12. No sixes on the D6s. I only needed to beat a 13, and I did that heartily, but that is a 12.
Okay, so as you make this reasonable request, Tom Bombadil just suddenly oh, my merry hearties, you know the way to old Tom's heart, to sink deep into his feelings and his care for living things. Oh, you know what I like. Well, I tell you, I'm listening, I'm hearing what you have to say. And he will kind of just lean in closer, and you feel that you're very close to convincing him to do exactly as you request, and possibly even more.
I might jump in here. I think Lindir, maybe like a little bit after this speech and sort of the thing, might be like, there might be some like Harad. I don't know if there's children among these refugees, but like he maybe befriended one as was like kind of over his shoulder. And I think as he's sort of like out in the yard, he will, using his lore ability, he's going to recall a rhyme and is going to attempt to echo the melody of the song that Tom had taught them the evening before. And so let me just make a little performance here. Oh, Tom Bombadil, oh, by water, wood and hill, by the reed and willow, by fire, sun and moon, hearken now and hear us. Come, Tom Bombadil, for our need is near us.
Yay! Okay, that was amazing. Are you favored in song
I'm favored in lore, yeah. In
or in
lore.
in lore? Okay.
I was doing lore to remember the rhyme. I could also
Oh,
just do
excellent.
song.
No,
since
that's good. That's good.
technically the thing.
If you do roll song, I'll let you be favored in it for this particular
Okay,
role.
let's
either
do
way.
that since it's more appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, all right, that's pretty okay. Yeah, that's I just got to 16 because of the favored, which is one number above my target number. So
Woo! Okay.
Oh my
It's
God.
like singing voice is not great.
But you remember the tune perfectly, and your song strikes the final chord with Tom Bombadil. And between the group of you who have been reasoning with him, he suddenly claps, stands to his feet, and he says, "My hearties we are now. Let us sing and eat together one final time. I'll take care of your friends. Safe they shall be here, and heal they will too." And he kind of gestures over to Kudar, and you can see she's already like sitting up and looking more peaceful, and she's just kind of chuckling at this like intensely silly song game that's going on. And
Yes.
Tom will again like burst into song, and as he's preparing a breakfast for all of you, he's just singing all about how he's going to help the folk who stay at his house, how blessings and songs he'll send with you as you head to the Barrow Downs. And without dwelling too much more on this, you have succeeded in your attempt, and he will now watch for the Haradrim, and then once you're finished at the Barrow Downs, should you survive, he will reunite with you, and you can take them north.
Well done, Rowan, and well done, Lindir. That was surprisingly good.
Wonderful performance. Very catchy.
Yes. I haven't sung in a long time. That's nothing. Yes. He's a very generous host.
All right. Well, you make all preparations. Feel free. We can always kind of like bounce back and say, "Oh, I've thought about this that I wanted to bring along, or that plan that we had made, or whatever." That's totally good. As you head out south from Tom Bombadil's house, through the forest, and back into the Withy Windle Valley, as you head that direction, eventually the trees clear, and the road becomes empty as you enter the strange lands of the Barrow Downs. The Barrow Downs are large, rounded hills, which Cynewen would know, are actually filled with stone structures and then covered in earth, kind of like a hobbit hole, but these were done as like ceremonial burial chambers.
Okay.
So a lot of it extends pretty, intricately underneath the sod of the hills, and has just been covered over hundreds of years now and overgrown. But you can still see standing stones on the crest of every hill, stretching out as far as you can see to the horizon. Those standing stones, they look like kind of like dark slate gray teeth sticking up out of green gums. And as the sun is setting, by the time you reach the edge of the Barrow Downs, you can see the skies turning like this deep orange or purple hue as clouds kind of roil along the horizon. And the land is swiftly heading toward night. You think you probably have about 30 minutes of that golden hour of light left.
Can I just say, on the journey here, just because I want to do this before we
Yeah, great.
get to like a finale-esque part here. On the journey here, I would have tried to maybe kind of, I don't know if we have do we still have horses, or we get rid of the horses. Regardless, I would have tried to pull up next to Rowan, and said, "You've done very well so far, little one. You showed great bravery last night."
Well, thank you, ma'am. I had a very, very good role model in watching how brave you were.
I feel I haven't been fair to you thus far. I hope you'll forgive me.
Well, there's nothing to forgive. I can't imagine you frequently socialize with hobbits, and I know my kin. They're not.
It's not. Years ago, I failed to keep two under my protection safe. I let them journey with me, and it could have ended in disaster, and I just want you to know that I'm sorry. And I am happy that you are by my side.
I'm happy to be here myself. Thank you.
Keep your axe ready.
I'm going to say that one thing that Elonara would have done is give everybody a bit of that herb that you said could help maybe give them some kind of protection or from the shadow that they used Ethelos to protect or to kind of buffer my friends.
Cool. Do you have a thought about how you want to roll that?
I don't know. I could do healing.
I
but
think it might fall under enhearten.
ooh,
I know
I
that,
like that. Yeah.
especially if you're not
let's do that.
using Athelas as like an actual poultice in the wound, then I
Mhm.
think enhearten probably feels right.
Okay. I'm gonna roll for enhearten. Oh no, I did not do very well. I got a 10 total.
Okay, and that won't reach your target number,
Yeah.
I assume. Okay.
Nope.
So as you
Sorry, guys.
you can go ahead and narrate how like the despair or the uncertainty of what you're about to face kind of stops you from being able to enhearten your allies. What do you think?
I think that she's trying to prepare something, and maybe she realizes that she used too much of it before, and so she doesn't have enough to go around, and so she gets in her head about, do I give it to Lindir? Rowan would probably need it the most, but Cynewen is never mind. And then just kind of gives up on the idea because she's getting a little nervous. She's getting a little stressed out now that they have reached the Barrowdens.
Great.
Did we ever receive any direction from Tom?
Direction
about anywhere specifically we should be heading in the Barradon, that he might have sensed anything, or was it just we had that direction?
The Barrow Downs are not as extensive as like the name that's written on the map is way bigger than the actual Barrow Downs are.
So it's
probably an area
of
like 5 to 8 miles.
Sure.
And it's pretty clear land. There's no forest here. There's some ancient stonework. But you'd be able to quickly, as you're moving through, find any activity that's going on.
Right. The one thing, just to once again, the sort of Justin's intelligent pre-finale or the kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lindir would ask Elonara as they've been walking for some time, maybe after she's decided whatever she's doing with the Athelas. He says, "I don't know if we've discussed this, but are you going to be taking one of the ships?"
I have not yet decided. Are you?
My mother and my brothers left last year. Many of those who I care for have gone already. Most, if I am honest. But I don't know.
What ties you here then?
It's funny. With that old man, I felt a great love and a great fondness for this place and even for his strange forest. But I have not felt that in some time. Much of what keeps me here is not love, but fear. Not fear of what awaits me in the Undying Lands. I know that it will be beautiful there, but fear for this place and for the people who are here. I fear that if we leave, others, like those corrupted by the sorcerer, will fall as well.
I fear the same. I think she's gonna stop walking for a second and maybe really look at him and say, I would die to protect this land. Are you willing to fight by my side? Shall we protect our friends and see this through to the end?
You have always been braver than me, Elonara. But I will try.
Thank you. Lindir. I should hope to not have to spend any time on this plane without you. Who else is going to annoy me for the rest of my natural life?
It is my sworn duty.
She I don't want to say butt taps, but shoves him, and then keeps walking.
It could be a butt tap. It could be whatever you
butt taps him and keeps walking.
Thank you all. So as you enter the Barrow Downs, there is a palpable sense of dread here. If you felt that as that ghostly ship approached in the forest last night, here it's even stronger. As the sun is swiftly descending toward the horizon, fog can be seen creeping along the edges of the downs, almost like curtains drawing close over a stage of woe. And you do hear distant shouts and sounds of some kind of percussion or maybe like equipment of some kind that's being used. It's a little hard to make out. Probably the elves hear it first, but it will become clearer as you move in that direction. But first, I would like each of you to please make a shadow test. For a shadow test, in this case, it's being set on by a sense of dread that covers this place. You can roll either Valor or Wisdom using the target number that's associated with those.
Where do we find those?
Let's see, Valor. Yeah, because they're not skills. Are they?
I don't see them.
Hang on. Let me quickly find what I'm looking for here. This is the first time we've done this, so...
Yeah, the shadow test.
I think Valor is under Heart and Wisdom is under Wits, if I'm looking at the right things.
Yeah.
Like, with the skills?
Oh, I see now. It's written in the upper right corner by the little diamonds with the numbers in them.
Yeah.
I have a
There's
1 Valor and a 2 Wisdom. Okay.
Oh, beneath the skills. Got it.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I see.
Okay, so here's how this works. Shadow tests are resolved as any other roll by using a feat die plus a number of success dice equal to your appropriate rating.
I see.
Okay.
And I don't know if you all have the same amount.
Yeah, I'll roll Wisdom since I have 2 of it.
Yeah, it might be 1
Yeah.
Valor and 2 Wisdom for each of you, I think, because of how your characters were kind of pre-leveled up.
Cool.
I have my cultural blessing is Hobbit sense, which makes my wisdom rolls favored, I believe.
Ooh, very nice.
I wrote that note, so that means I get to.
You what?
That's a great reflection of that bit of lore about the hardiness of hobbits.
Yeah.
So we're rolling Wisdom, which is 2d12 because we're 2.
Is it D12 or D6?
A D12 and 2 D6 is what I
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, 1d12.
Okay.
I get it.
Except for Jean.
To roll with advantage.
She's got the advantage.
Okay.
Wrong system.
Now, I want to make sure
I
that
think I did it.
each of you do have a cultural blessing. So there's the Hobbit sense. I want to make sure that none of the rest of these apply. I wonder
Mine
if
is-
the elves...
Mine is my shadow tests versus dread are favored, and I get +1 die when facing spirits.
Okay.
I can spend 1 hope to do something.
That's
To give
cool.
someone favor. Like, I remember I did it the first time. I just don't remember what the effect is.
I think, oh yeah, that's your elven lore. I think you can spend 1 hope and automatically succeed with magic
Aha!
on any skill test. So I don't think it counts for this, but if
Okay.
you do a skill test in the next scene, I would definitely hang on to that.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, because you can get an automatic success and it's like narrated that you somehow use magic, elf magic.
Cool.
I don't think I have anything.
Great. Okay,
and
so-
my stuff's for fighting.
You get an awesome score, an awesome axe.
So if you're rolling wisdom, this will be against your wits target number.
Yeah, I think I failed.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got a 10 out of 15. So
I got a-
Lindir's face grows pale.
Oh no.
Yeah,
I got a 14. I made it by 1, but I made it.
Yeah, I got a 16, so I also made it by 1.
I got 6 out of 16, so I failed horribly.
Oh no.
Did anyone succeed?
No,
Yeah, Jean and
both
I.
Rowan
Okay.
and Elonara.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry, I was just reading while you were saying that. I was reading what happens. So, those of you who failed gain a feature called miserable.
Great.
As you enter this place, the misery, the frustration, the bitterness, the harsh side of your personality suddenly is thrust to the fore. There is a little checkbox for miserable under conditions. If
Cool.
you know, just remember that you've got it. If you
Yes.
want to mark that, feel free.
Yep.
What that means is that if you roll an 11 on your feat die, that is the Eye of Sauron result. You automatically fail, regardless of whatever else you might have rolled.
Ooh.
If your shadow score, let's see. Well,
So was that not already the case? I just assumed that if we would have rolled an 11, it was kind of the opposite of rolling a 12.
it just works as a 0. So you can still succeed if you
I
roll an
see.
11,
Okay.
Your
but
other
didn't
dice
it's
do
hard.
really well.
But in this case, there's no chance. You just
Yeah. Okay.
fail.
Okay.
Additionally, you each are going to lose. You're going to gain what's called shadow score or shadow points, which they work against your hope. So if you get a number of shadow equal to your total hope, you become. Let's see, something bad happens to you. You start to experience like a bout of madness or depths of desperation.
And just to be clear, when you say total hope, do you mean our like what we started with or what we currently have?
It's your maximum hope.
Okay, got it.
So in this case, you're going to gain shadow points. Let's see, how many? That's the question.
How do you get more shadow points?
Also a good question. It probably won't enter into the story
Yeah,
because
no,
I think it
that's
happens
fine.
during the fellowship phase when we wrap up the adventure.
Cool.
You like regain things. It's kind of like the rest or whatever.
Sure.
Okay, so in this case, you're each going to gain 2 shadow points if you failed, and you can reduce the shadow that you gain by if you succeeded, you reduce it by 1 point plus 1 for every success icon, every 6 that you rolled. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sorry, I missed it. Say it one more time.
You reduce it by 1
Uh-huh.
plus an additional 1 for every 6 that you rolled on your shadow test you just wrote.
No.
Reduce our what by 1?
The shadow points you're gaining. So it's
Okay.
2, but it's reduced by 1 if you succeeded, and then
Okay.
additional.
Well, I failed, but no 6s,
Yeah.
so I just get the flat 2 shadow points.
Yep.
Same.
Great. Shadow points, and I'm miserable.
Okay. Feel free to
Yeah.
keep that in mind as we role play this
Yeah.
next scene.
Okay.
So here you are at the edge of the Barrow Downs. What would you like to do as you proceed?
All right. You said we hear percussive
Yeah, pretty
noise.
pretty distant. Probably more than a mile away.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere amidst these ruins.
Let's keep our guard up, stay together, and be wary.
Yes, surely, but we must move quickly. We only have so much light left. Or is the light gone?
No, you've got about 30 minutes of sunlight.
Let's hurry.
Yeah, and Cynewen looks physically a little drearier than she was just,
Yeah.
10 minutes ago.
And Lindir just looks pissed.
Yeah, a good reference, by the way, for how this goes is that each of you have on your character sheet a shadow path that kind of gives you some flavor of how your personality leans toward shadow when you're corrupted.
Oh, yes, mine is the Curse of Vengeance. Yeah.
As
Mm.
is mine.
Wait, where's
Oh,
that?
yeah?
Oh,
Up on the
I
top.
see. I see
your
now.
shadow path. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, well, you move swiftly forward over the ruins until you reach an area that it's kind of like a lower elevation. The hills kind of dive deep down. You get the impression that there used to be some kind of excavated site here. You see stonework peeking up through the grass as though it was buried long ago. And this depression leads down to a set of standing stones that are below in the middle of several different barrows. So the barrows are these big rounded green mounds, and then there's a set of standing stones at the bottom. And over the center of those standing stones, you can see a wooden crane with pulleys and some kind of counterweight system that has been erected here. The craftsmanship is Numenorian in design, but not ancient. So it was made recently. There are several people bustling about here. Many of them are clearly Haradrim, who are wearing, some like brightly colored cloaks, things that would be like functional in a desert landscape that have been kind of like pulled aside and are now just being used for warmth. And then
And they.
at the go ahead.
Sorry. No, keep going.
At the center of the group, kind of directing some of the action, you see someone in a lordly suit of armor. A very tall, almost like white pale skin, and long dark hair that is braided into 3 braids coming down the back of his head. And you see him sort of like turning about, pointing, and then suddenly he shouts in the speech of the Haradrim, hurry, hurry, time is leaving us.
And it's sorry, just to be clear, it seems like he's forcing the Haradrim to excavate or to work.
Yeah, well, you don't see any sign that it's like that it's
Unwilling.
forced necessarily.
Oh, okay.
But they're working with him, and he's clearly like in charge.
Okay, I see.
And how many are there?
We'll say there are at least 50 people, but in terms of them being armed, you can't tell. Maybe we could make a test to decide what you see. This would be a scan test.
Yeah. All right. I've got one.
Um,
Anybody
I,
got some elf eyes?
I am
I mean, I have an
very
elf.
keen-eyed, so I can either do the check, or I can offer up my help with a check. But I'm happy to scan the area, see if we can get.
Yeah, go for it,
more.
Rowan.
Okay. I am favored, so I'm rolling. Oh. I got 2 5s on my D12s, so I'll pick one of the 5s. But then I got a 6, a 5, and a 3 on my 6s, which beats my 15 for wits, and I got 1 6.
Okay. What you can see is that currently being pulled up from the crane by these Haradrim, they don't look like laborers. They look like they're people who have sort of adopted whatever this work is, but they don't look like they're like, hired laborers. Like they look like people who are in a group, like mercenaries or something, that are just trying to accomplish a task. But they're lifting from the crane a piece of stonework, and upon it is a bas relief that shows 7 stars and 2 trees. And then at the center of those 2 trees, you can see the symbol of a scorpion.
So, Kundar said something about, or maybe it was Tom, said something about a weapon from the earth itself. Would I think that this could be the weapon?
Well, it's a big block of stone.
Oh, I guess they stole the weapon. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah. It looks like they're pulling this up out of a barrow.
Okay.
So this wasn't brought with them, which I think is what you understand the weapon
Yeah.
was. Rowan, you also can see that there is like a draped cask set to the side. It's got like a leader or a litter attached to it so that someone, like 4 people, could lift it. Kind of like Ark of the Covenant looking, but it's draped with this black velvet cloth, which is embroidered with the symbol of a white scorpion. And at the center of the scorpion, you can see a tree symbol has been embroidered.
Does a tree and a scorpion together mean anything to any of you?
Lindir?
Anyone could make a lore test.
Let me think. Right. I'll try lore. Oh no, you go ahead. Yeah,
No. I mean,
can we both do it?
Should only one of us do it? Sorry.
Well,
I'll give you 3 of my dice.
Yeah,
I'm not favored.
I'll give you 3d6s, Cynewen. So we'll sort of like get our heads together and you'll say, well, this symbol, this is what it means.
It's not quite the symbol.
Yes. I'll say, it's not the white tree of
Oh,
Gondor.
baby! I got another 12.
Woo!
Awesome.
Which is good, because I rolled really low on all my d6s.
Nice.
Here is your fantastic success. When you were a child, you heard stories about Numenorians who were colonists. They weren't interested in living within the lands of Numenor, which was this kind of small island, very like classical, like idealized culture. But there were people who were dissatisfied, who felt that they wanted to live in the Undying Lands, far in the west, where the Valar, who are like these kind of angelic or almost godlike spirits, dwell. And one of the leaders of Numenor eventually ascended to power, a king named Ar-Pharazôn. And he actually led an army to the Undying Lands to attack the Valar and prove to them that he deserved to live amongst the immortals in the Undying Lands. And as soon as he set foot upon the Undying Lands, he and his entire army died instantly. And Numenor was swallowed up by the sea. And it was refugees from Numenor that actually settled in Arnor and Gondor, and they were the ancestors. They were the Numenorians that are your ancestors.
Right.
So there's kind of these 2 factions, if we want to call it that, for the sake of this bit of legendarium. The factions are the refugees, the people who fled dying Numenor, and then the people who wanted to use Numenor to colonize other places.
Right.
The same king, Ar-Pharazôn, also established the colonial city of Umbar, which is another place in Harad. That was essentially a colony from Numenor by these people who felt that it was, their duty to rule all of Middle Earth. Very Sauron-like impulse. So,
and they were colonizing into. I mean, Harad was already inhabited at that point and was sort of like
exactly
colonized.
But
okay,
as far as on, this was all like
hundreds, if not
centuries
thousands
ago.
of years ago.
So okay.
So what you would glean, though, is that the 2 trees are usually a symbol of the Undying Lands.
Okay.
The scorpion must be a symbol of at least the faction that Ar-Pharazôn belonged to. This kind of presence of something that can strike to the heart, and though small, it can control and kill anything it wants to. The symbol of the poison as like this spreading, like a colonial presence. And so it's a heraldic connection. This person is, very, very pale, very tall, clearly a descendant of Numenor, who is using a device that once belonged to these Numenorian colonizers.
For the sake of time, I will say, I can't believe I didn't see it before. This symbol, and I'm saying to the rest of you, this symbol, the 2 trees, is a symbol of the Undying Lands, and the scorpion is that of an ancestor of my people, of myself, Ar-Pharazôn. And could it be that they are trying to resurrect the scorpion himself?
Ar-Pharazôn would not have been buried here.
Okay.
So it's probably not it could be a person. You just saw evidence that one of the wraiths that was probably buried in this place did flee in your direction. But, Yeah, it's not our zone
Okay.
in any case.
Yeah, I guess what is it? What might we glean from this symbol? You know, so I'm getting the historical context, but what might that mean about the intentions of these specific people here? Does that give us any insight into it, or is it more just a sense of their origins?
Yeah, just a desire for control, expansion, empire. Kind of the opposite of what was originally the goal of Numenor, which was to be a place where people would come and unite rather than go out and conquer.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, whatever they're trying to do, it's creating wraiths, it's causing destruction to the land, and they need to be stopped. I think it's fair to say we're a bit outnumbered.
Let me just reiterate, I don't know if I made this clear, that most of the people down there are not combatants.
Oh.
It looks like there's only a few, and maybe I didn't get to saying this, that Rowan, you notice exactly 5 people who are armed, including this Numenorian descendant.
I only see 5 with weapons. I think the others are just normal workers.
Bless those eyes of yours. What?
As you're kind of
about
wrapping up this conversation, you see the stone block drops onto the grass, and the Numenorian, the heart of the scorpion, he points at something down where the crane is still lowered.
We need to stop them soon. I will go, I will create a distraction, I will be the bullseye, if you will, and Lindir, Elonara, perhaps you can cover me from a bit of distance, and then swoop in when the time seems right.
Happy to do so.
Rowan, do you think you could do something about that cask?
What do you have in mind?
I don't know. Go see what it is, make your best judgment.
Absolutely, I can try my best.
And we should all keep in mind that the weapon is something we should be taking away from this sorcerer. Perhaps if we remove that, he will be less powerful, and his followers will lay down their hands.
Does he already have it?
That was my
no.
understanding, but perhaps I'm misunderstood.
I've misunderstood this whole thing.
So I think that it was taken from him, and you can guess at this point that he chased people down and got it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we must take it back once more.
Do we know what it is? It's not apparent what it is. Okay.
Can't see
No,
it.
you just see that cask, which looks like it's probably it.
I see.
Okay.
I'm bad at reading between the lines. I'm not the best
Okay,
leader of
you're
this
good.
party.
No, you're doing quite well, Cynewen.
Yes.
You go. So, is there these are pretty unforested hills. I mean, is there any way for Elonara and I to sort of sneak up at all, or?
There is some stonework, and as you recall, the land descends into this dell. Along the rim of it, you would be unseen.
Okay, great, cool. Yeah, then maybe the two of us can head sort of around to try and get sort of so we could come from the flank, and maybe we go with Rowan a bit and then split off from her at some point.
Great.
Yeah.
So anyone who's going to approach in that way, go ahead and make a stealth test.
Let's do it. So not too bad at that. I guess I'm an elf.
23.
Wow. Hell yeah.
19, so that's a success.
No
sixes, though.
I also got a 19, a 9, 1, 3, and a 6. 1, 6.
Woo.
Okay, the three of you expertly get to the part of the stonework that is right above where the cask is being held. You're probably 20 feet from it. You'd be a little exposed getting down any closer, but you have your opportunity. Because all three of you succeeded, it seems that they're very, very busily trying to get at something that is still down in the center of this barrow. And you can hear kind of like encouraging words being shouted. Cynewen would be the only one who understood them, but in the language of the Haradrim, this Numenorian is saying like, faster, faster, you've almost got it.
As kind of a, way of introducing myself, if you will, I'd like to pull out my great bow and like knock an arrow, aiming. I don't think it will necessarily cut the rope, but I'd like to aim and try to hit the rope as kind of like a what's up, bitches.
I think cutting the rope is totally within
okay, I didn't know how big it was. Okay.
Adventure
then yes,
yeah.
I'm doing that as
Scope
kind
of what we're doing.
yeah.
Great. Okay, what would you like to do? I think you could either do a skill test or you could do an attack. I think if you do an attack, you would have to probably roll a Gandalf rune or 3 successes.
Okay.
If you wanted to do a skill, since it's less about damaging it and more about like pinpointing it, maybe I would let you do either battle or
Battle would be fantastic.
Yeah, go ahead and roll battle. I think that's good. You're using your expertise.
I've got 12 twice on this die. I'm hoping three times. All right, here we go. I got 4 d6s and 1 d12. Okay, no 6s, but I got a 6, 10, 14, 16. What happens if I meet my number?
You succeed.
Oh, baby.
Whoa.
All right.
Okay. So go ahead and narrate what you would like to do.
So it succeeds in.
Yep.
Okay.
Breaking the rope.
So I will shout out to them. Cease this foul deed, cousin, and just let it fly, hoping to cut this rope and grab all their attention as I've tried to gain distance from my stealthy friends.
Okay, excellent. Yep, so if you're on the other side of the dell, you loose your arrow, it strikes the rope, splitting it completely apart. There is a whooshing sound as whatever was being held by the crane hurtles down back into the barrow, and you hear this clatter of metal against stone. And suddenly the heart of the scorpion wheels around and sees you. And now we will begin our combat. Bear in mind that you can continue to take normal actions during combat. You don't have to fight, but we'll just kind of address that as things come up. If there's anything you'd like to do.
Cool.
All right, who is going to take? Well, first we get volleys. So anyone who has a weapon with range. Those of you who crept up are about 25, 30 feet away and well within range of the heart of the scorpion. Cynewen, you mentioned that you were on the other side of the dell. Did you want to have you've got a bow, so you've got plenty of range. Do you want to have some distance?
Yes. I'll stay distant. I'll be smart about that. Well, you know what though? I'm feeling miserable. I have a curse of vengeance on me. I see this person bringing shame to my family or my people. I think I'm just going in. I think I'm just I have the bow. I do that. I drop the bow, feeling real cocky, and then I'm just gonna grab my Nernindil and just rush at them. Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see. Anyone who is going to do volleys with ranged weapons, you'll have the opportunity for 1 volley before we get closed into melee combat. For those who want to, for those who want to hang back, you can do rearward. So you roll your weapon as if it's like a skill test. So whatever your proficiency is with that weapon.
Oh, and then I will let Lindir volley because I'm gonna stay rearward so that I can use deadly archery.
Great. You can do both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I will volley. What do we roll
Cool.
again? Sorry.
It's your weapon proficiency. So if you have a bow, it would be whatever your.
Would it
I think
mess up
yours is
anything stealthy that I wanted to do, to?
Yeah, if
do
you
a
volley,
volley?
you'll lose your stealth.
Okay, I'm going to stay hidden. My task is different.
Let me see though. There is an effect though for stealth. It's gonna take me a second to find this.
Meanwhile,
if you're able to
Lindir-
like ambush someone, you can get an additional benefit.
Ooh.
Lindir attempts to, pulls out his bow and attempts to make a shot against one of the armed Haradrim, but the arrows clatters against the stonework, or is able to dodge out of the way, and then just sort of throws his bow aside or throws it back over his back and just pulls out his sword and starts heading down the hill.
What do I roll to volley? D12.
So it's
D6?
your weapon. Yeah, it's a D12, and then D6 is equal to your weapon proficiency. I think yours is 3.
This would be bows.
Yeah.
Okay, I will. So 3d6 and a 12. Okay.
Yep. So the surprised enemies won't be able to make their opening volleys, nor take actions in the first close quarters round.
Oh, that's sweet.
I got a 16.
Okay, and you're going against your target number for the appropriate ability, which I think is... sorry. Rules look up. Combat's always more
No,
complicated,
you're okay.
right?
I have damage 4, injury 18, load 4, notes ranged. Thunder
It's just one of your main. It's either strength, heart, or wits.
Then I'm good. I'm good. I got a 16, which is the bare minimum. It beats.
Excellent. And then except that it's modified by their armor. Who are you attacking? Are you attacking one of the armed Haradrim, or are you attacking the Heart of the Scorpion?
Heart of the Scorpion.
Okay, give me 1 second here because I got to flip between different pages on this PDF.
Graham, while you're doing that too, you may want to loop the music, just so you know.
Thank you.
Elonara sees that her companions are kind of just going for it, and concerned she's going to aim right for the Heart of the Scorpion, afraid that if they give that person even a moment, that her friends are going to be in danger.
Okay, so all attack rolls are based on your strength target number, modified by the parry rating of the enemy. In this case, his parry... I gotta find my evil men category for enemies. Okay, his parry is 2. So if your strength, it's your strength target number plus 2. You need to roll.
Can I then just spend a hope to make it a success using elf magic, so I can get a shot in, or is this not one of those situations since it's on a skills check?
Good question.
I can just miss. I think
it doesn't count as a skill test because it's for the weapon.
So I aim, I pull back, but just like Lindir, I miss and it goes flying off, and just miss.
Well, let's say that it strikes his like immaculate gilded armor and pling off the breastplate.
Damn it.
Okay, how about Rowan? What are you doing?
I would like to sneak down toward the cask, the cask, and see if I can figure out what's going on with it and what I might be able to do.
Excellent. Now that you're more in the open and combat has started, you are hidden up on the rim of the dell. But if you head down toward the cask, you'll have to make another stealth test, this time with ill-favored condition. Now, if you're already favored, then it just goes to a normal roll.
Okay. All just evens out. Well, I will still try and sneak down, losing my favor.
Hobbits really are amazing creatures.
Oh, that's 2 6s and a 6 on my 12 and a 2 on my 12. So that's
amazing.
That's 20, which beats my target of 15 with 2 6s on my 6s.
Okay, so quiet as a shadow, invisible as a rustle in the grass, you tread down, and you are able to reach underneath this embroidered black kind of shroud that's over the top of the cask. Opening it up, you can see it has an open top, and kind of reaching your hand up, your hand closes around something that is cold and faceted like a gem, but you can feel that there's intricate metal inlay in it. It feels like a talisman.
Can I take it?
Yep. Okay, you pull it down, and you see what looks like a kind of stylized Numenorian heart.
Ooh.
Like a human heart, but it's very beautiful in the way it's worked, and it has several gems worked seamlessly amongst the like wiring of metal around it. Very beautiful, very valuable, but you also most of all feel a sense of power as you hold it in your hand. It's like trembling in your fingers.
Awesome. I think that I feel this is probably what we're after, and so I just kind of want to sneak away with it. I want to get it as far away from the sorcerer as I can.
Okay, great.
It's the most expensive thing I've ever held in my life.
So when we end your action, you're there next to the cask, holding this thing, preparing to spring back up or away, and
Yes.
whatever you choose.
Great.
Okay, we had our volleys. The enemies don't get a chance to volley. Now let's close into melee combat, close quarters combat. The enemies also don't get a chance to respond as you quickly, anyone who wants to, can spring down into a forward stance and engage them. Let's go ahead and just list off. Does anyone want to take let me get my list of stances here. Because this, for those who may not recall, this is how we determine combat order. So anyone taking a forward stance for this round?
Cynewen and I shall each
Yes.
take a forward stance.
Yes, please.
Okay, excellent.
Feeling that
Either one of you
vengeance.
can go ahead.
Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Cynewen draws Nurendil and rushes forward towards the leader, just saying, "You've caused great suffering. You shall pay for this." Except more like angry and whatnot. I just don't want to
Nice.
scream.
All right, you add 1d6 to your attack,
Ooh.
and you're rolling your X proficiency.
Oh, right, because I'm forward. Okay. X, got it. Okay. Nothing happens if I get a 1 on a d6, right?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, and what's the parry?
Parry is this is against the heart of the scorpion.
Yes.
This is +2.
Okay.
So your strength target number
Beat
+2.
it. Yeah, I got a 23.
Okay, 23 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you get any 6s?
No, I got
Okay.
3 5s.
So then, what is your damage for the weapon?
8.
Whoa! Okay, he takes 8 damage. That is significant. As your axe, blessed and enchanted to dispatch with the enemies from Angmar, cuts into its own kind, but one who has been corrupted. All right. He steps back like totally staggered by this. And he's surprised, so he doesn't have an ability to respond this round. Anyone going? Oh, sorry. We'll go to Lindir now.
Yeah, I think I don't know the exact battlefield, but in my imagination, I can't get all the way to the scorpion. So
You could.
okay. My goal was, I mean, tell me if this is dumb, but my goal was to come forward, and there's all these like workers and people here. My goal was to flash back to Cynewen teaching me we are, a phrase in Harad, which would be, we are here only to remove the scorpion's sting.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
So in an attempt to awe them and potentially even intimidate some of the actual combatants as well. So sort of coming down the hill, like, elven blade glowing in the last light of dusk, and calls forth in the Harad that he's able to learn.
Cool. And then, did you want to do then the combat task to intimidate a foe?
That's sort of what I thought I could frame that with using awe, the skill
absolutely.
test for that. Does that seem
That's
good?
perfect.
Great. Awesome. So we'll do that. I have advantage or favored. I rolled both of the d12s were 1s. I rolled 2 more 1s and a 5.
Whoa.
Can I give hope after the fact, or does it have to be before?
It is. Yeah, it's too late.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, shit.
Yep.
I gave you the wrong translation, I think.
Yeah.
No!
It was scorpions.
To sort of lean more into the drama of the moment. It's maybe that I I catch eyes with this sorcerer, with this Numenorian, and this darkness that I felt earlier just sort of catches my voice in my throat. I just don't. I feel like I still am ready for a fight and standing so strong with my hair blowing in the wind. But there's just like a fear that's fallen on me of the darkness that's here. So yeah, and I am able to say what I say, but I think the workers and other Harad are just still probably not affected. So
Okay, very cool. So that is your turn. If there are any secondary actions, I think we talked about this, but secondary actions are just like incidental little things, like if you were going to discard a piece of gear, like remove armor or drop a shield, something like that.
Yeah, it's my cloak.
Open a door,
off, probably. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Anyone going into an open stance? I guess we're just left with. Are we at Elonara? Is that right?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna try.
rearward.
Yeah, I'm rearward. I want to pull back my bow, and I want to aim for the scorpion, the heart of the scorpion's throat.
Great. So taking the secondary action to prepare your shot, which you can do because of your archery, that gives you an extra die to your attack.
Oh, okay.
Extra d6.
Well, that's helpful. 15, which does not hit them again.
Oh no, the armor.
I'm just rolling poorly tonight, you guys. Okay. And I pull out another arrow and pull it back as my secondary action for my next shot on my next turn.
Great. Okay, that is the end of the first round. Now we're going to go through and do all of that again. First, though, I want to give Rowan the chance. You wanted to scramble out.
Right. Yes.
Okay, this is your choice. I mean, stealth obviously something you're very good at, so I wouldn't mind letting you do that again. It would still be ill-favored, or you could just cast yourself into full view and do something like athletics to sprint, and you would not be ill-favored. So whatever you want.
No, my stealth is going to be way better than that option.
Yeah, makes sense.
And yeah, since I balance out with being ill-favored, I will just try and do the stealth again. Ooh. Okay, thank goodness. 1, 5, 4. That's 10. And 8, 18. God. Okay, yes, I beat my wits.
All right, you spring up unseen back onto the dell. You can, it's your choice. You want to be next to Elonara, or, I mean, obviously still hidden behind
Yes.
stonework of some kind.
Yeah, I think probably sneaking up behind to Elonara's position.
Okay, excellent. Now let's go to those in a forward stance. Cynewen and Lindir, are you staying forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and either take your combat task or your attacks, whichever order you prefer.
Right. Oh, I forgot about the combat tasks. Of course.
So that would be like instead of attacking.
I see. Never mind. I'll attack. Yeah, I'll go ahead and swing again. Oh, and I'm forward. I get another 1d8.
The sun is starting to set behind the horizon, and you see again the moon get just so much brighter as your axe is raised into the air.
Yeah. I rolled an 11. And
Oh no!
Yeah.
And are you miserable?
Oh, no.
Yes, it's an auto fail.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Here's
Yeah.
what happens. As you pick up your axe to swing down, the Numenorian with his offhand reaches up, grabs it, and rips it out of your hands. And he is now, and he looks down and he says, "A fine axe. I suppose it can fall just as easily upon you." And he'll now be dual wielding your axe.
It is a two-handed weapon. I don't know if that
Oh,
matters.
it is. Okay, great. He'll sheath his sword.
Okay. Great.
Oh,
You can
man.
see like the blood running down his neck from where you cut him with the axe.
Ooh, great. All right.
Seeing this happen, Lindir leaps into battle alongside him, having rolled a 17, which is going to succeed. So, just maybe as the axe is like about to fall on Cynewen, this thin elven blade that you wouldn't think could even block this thing, like barely does. And I, make to, try to strike him in the back of the thigh if I can.
Okay, roll your extra d6.
Yes.
Oh, you said a 17 was what
It
you
was
rolled?
17. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I
Damages?
mean the extra d6 for.
For being forward.
Oh yes, I did do that. And then
Awesome.
remind me how I calculate damage? It's just the damage of the sword.
The damage of the weapon, if you got any 6s on your d6s, you can add additional effects.
Great. I had a single d6 and 6 damage.
Okay, very nice. So he's now taken 14 damage. For your special damage, based on your success, you could do a heavy blow to do additional damage equal to your strength rating.
Mm-hmm.
You could fend off to gain a parry modifier to your own armor. You could do a piercing blow that will add additional dice. What did you roll on your d12?
A 4.
Okay, so you have no chance of doing a piercing blow then.
Great.
And that or you could do a shield thrust to bash your opponent. Now in this case, he is on the edge of this excavation site. So you could bash him back into the barrow.
I'll try that. Yeah, I think I'd.
Okay,
make a
so
strike
your
with-
strength must be greater than his. That may be a factor here.
Yeah. My strength. How is that? My strength is my target number is 15. Top right number is 5.
5.
Yeah.
His strength is also 5.
Ooh, so we're just.
So it is not greater than his. So you can't
Yeah.
shield bash him.
Great. Okay.
Maybe you
Yeah.
you like think about trying it, but you can feel him sturdy on his feet.
Yeah, we're maybe like dueling for a moment on the edge of this pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I think I eventually just sort of try for a heavy blow and I'm able to strike.
Very
like
cool.
one of
So
his
what is your
greaves comes up.
so your strength is 5, so you'll do 5 extra damage.
Okay.
That brings him. He's taken 14 plus 5 goes to 19.
Yes.
He is pretty badly hurt here. He's your sword blow, like he parries maybe the first strike with the butt of the axe and leaves himself open, and you cut a line all the way down the side of his neck, open it like making worse the wound that was done by the axe and tearing off a piece of his pauldron, and you can see like his shoulder is now badly bleeding and he's like holding it. He's got the axe in one hand now and he realizes he can't use it, and he drops it and draws his sword.
Oof.
Now, we
Nice.
still have time for Elonara to do her rearward. Are you still rearward?
Yes.
Very nice.
I have a question though. If I tried to do something with Enhearten, could I use that to try and boost the spirits of Cynewen and Lindir as they're like in close combat with this sorcerer?
Good question. You certainly could. And if you were going to do that, you would want to take an open stance.
Okay.
Because that would mean, let me look at this. An open stance allows you to rally your comrades as your combat task. So you do that instead of attacking.
Okay.
But
So
it's up to you. You also think that one good arrow could end him.
Well, since I did pull that arrow back last turn, I'm gonna try one more time. I am not rolling well. 9, 10, 14. It doesn't hit.
Wow, I'm so sorry about
It's
your
just
rolls.
bad dice tonight.
Dang.
Okay, another arrow strikes him. He's not doing so hot.
I curse under my breath and get really frustrated and like lower my bow, and I'm not happy.
Okay. Now, do you want to do? Oh, you already did your secondary action, right, to prepare your shot. So that was with the extra die.
Well, it wasn't with the extra die.
Go ahead and roll one more.
What did I?
You said 14
Yeah.
plus.
Plus 3.
7.
Okay, so
Is that good enough?
makes your roll a 17,
Yes.
and your strength is a 16 target number.
Yes.
It's
Dang.
plus 2. Except that his
Wait.
armor was
Been
falling
damaged.
off.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So we'll change it to a plus 1,
Ha-ha!
which means your
Ha-ha.
arrow just barely slides right into the shoulder that he is favoring.
Okay, and then it says under injury 18.
Okay. Well, in this case, it's
Do I
just
roll
the damage.
something?
Just the damage.
Okay.
Damage is to the left. Yeah.
Well,
To the left
okay,
of
so I roll 4 is what it says under
You don't
damage.
roll. You just do 4.
Hey, you would take 4 damage now, you awful
And-
person, you.
The floor is now yours, Emma, to narrate what happens.
Oh gosh. So I pull that arrow back, and I think that it's not gonna hit because I keep not hitting him. And then I remember that Tom said that we have to stay hopeful, and I see my friends who are fighting as hard as they can right up in the thick of it. And so I really pull it back, and I let loose my arrow right for that spot of exposed flesh in the armor, and it just cuts right through him, and I think his arm just flies off, and he staggers and then falls back into the pit in slow motion.
Thank you. As he falls, you hear again the clatter of metal as his armor strikes whatever it was that dropped down there. The sun is now setting as the rest of the Haradrim drop their weapons and hold up their arms. And you are able to basically bind them and bring them to Kadar for her to kind of cast judgment, figure out what is to be done with these people, whether they hold blame and need to be held accountable for their actions, or if they were, intimidated or threatened into being in this service. Rowan, you hold in your hands the heart of the scorpion, this weapon brought by Ar-Pharazôn to Umbar. You take it into your keeping. The group can do with it what they will as we kind of narrate our epilogue. Its powers are still mysterious to you, but you know that at all costs, it must be kept away from Harad and the evil forces that now hold sway over the people there. Let's jump ahead and say it's about a week later, as your fellowship has wrapped up your task. Feel free to narrate all of that ending however you want. We can, it's really up to you. My time as lore keeper has ended in this scenario, and it is now up to you to narrate how you finish things off. So who'd like to start?
I think Rowan, having never felt like held something so valuable before, is sort of feeling something like really open up inside of her, and her this desire she has to explore and find treasure. And luckily the shadow is not forcing her too much down the dragon sickness path, because she only got a little taste of it in the Barrow Downs. But I think I'm almost afraid of what this feeling is. And so really quickly, when things settle, I hold this up to Cynewen and please, I think this would be safer in your hands than mine.
And I look down to her and I take her hand and I kind of just push it back down and I hold it and I say, I very much doubt that. You've done a good job so far, and if you would have me, I'd like to ask that you come with me. There's more to be done. There's more to protect, and including that. And to be honest, I've grown quite fond of you, and I wouldn't mind the company on the road.
Oh, I would be honored, and I will keep it very safe.
I have no doubt.
Excellent. Anyone else?
I don't know. What do you think? What is Lindir?
Well, I think there's this next, all this figuring out of where the Harad are going to live, and I imagine Lindir is trying to be involved to some degree in making this work, and maybe finding some place in the hills that maybe there are places that elves have been leaving where there's space available where the people might be able to settle, and trying to more and more to his own frustration, because he's an elf trying to mediate between the conflicts of men, and just sort of being overcome more and more by this sort of melancholy and confusion about his purpose. But I think after this heads out, he goes to Elonara and says, it is It is as we fear that the Age of Elves may be coming to an end, but I think that I will go east to Lorien and see if they might be willing to have me there. I think that there may be some other role for me to play in the coming days. You would be welcome if you would like to join, but I understand if not.
I'll have to check my schedule. And then she is gonna like arm punch him again and just kind of walk forward, grabbing the horses, like looking over the shoulder like, are we going?
Okay, and as we close, first of all, I'll say that Rowan and Cynewen, you have a dream several nights after the end of this task that you took upon yourself. The dream is of a jolly man in a blue jacket and yellow boots, almost quietly, if that's possible for Tom Bombadil, passing through the Barrow Downs toward the open tomb that you left behind. You see him slowly draw the armored Numenorian's body up out of the tomb, and with a wave of his hand, you see a stone roll across the grass over the opening that was excavated, and he leans down and sings a song, freeing the barrow from any curse or shadow that laid upon it. And he takes piles of will look like treasure and items that were kept in that barrow, amongst which is a round shield with a boss that is in the shape of a tree and 7 stars around it. And in the shield, almost like a big plate, he like pulls all this treasure and scatters it across the grass and says, be open to the air and free to all who find treasure upon the earth. And you feel that in your dream, you've seen Tom Bombadil render the magic of the barrow useless as the treasure is given away. Basically, in order to like disenchant a Barrow Wight's treasure, you have to give it away and leave it for anyone to take and find it. It's like for some reason the act of possession and greed for it is what gives it its power.
Yeah, it's like dragon madness.
Thanks to us, we directly made it so that Merry could get his sword and kill the Witch King at the end of Return of the King. So we're the real heroes.
You're welcome, canon.
And then we'll end just with the image of Lindir and Elonara striding toward this massive grove of Mallorn trees that have leaves that are silver on the underside and gold on the top, and this kind of silver bark. Massive trees the size of towers rising up as you come to Caras Galadhon, the heart of Elvendom, the place where the Lady Galadriel and the Lord Celeborn dwell, and you spend a fair time among the people of Lorien. And the rest of this tale will be told as the road goes ever on, but our part in it has ended. So thank you all so much for participating tonight. I want to give one more thanks too, because I didn't mention this at the beginning, to thank Ted again for the amazing music he composed that we're currently listening to.
So good.
Really beautiful, and thanks so much for what you added, and each of you, for your characters. And what a great time. I couldn't think of a better way to spend my birthday.
Yay!
Hey!
Happy 111th birthday!
Graham, I could listen to you play Tom Bombadil all day.
Absolutely.
My
You're very
favorite.
I was
Absolutely.
like, he's gonna bring those sea shanties into this.
Yes.
Okay.
kind. I love Tom Bombadil.
Is that an established melody or is that your melody?
No, I just made it up.
Nice.
That's Fred. You just made that up. Excuse
That was
me.
nice. That was nice.
Well, thanks
Fantastic.
again. We just really appreciate everyone who tuned in to watch. Great to see you. And I'm so, of course, I'm like got my head buried in the rules, so I didn't necessarily interact with chat so much, but just so great to see Sumque and
Sumque.
Jason in the chat. Y'all are awesome. Really appreciate you popping in, and can't wait to see you both again and play games sometime soon.
Appreciate y'all, and thanks to anybody who was lurking. We love y'all too. Thank you so much. Hope you'll check out the other streams we do. We got Monster of the Week coming this Friday, and
I I think we have a big announcement coming up, right? Have we?
Yes.
So we'll announce something big soon.
I announced it.
Oh, you did?
Last Friday. I did.
Okay.
I did, but I'm only to the people who are watching.
Yep. So people now know that we're going to be doing a 24-hour Halloween stream. Of course, not on Halloween because schedules, but we're going to be doing it on October 16th. So we'll be starting, like basically Friday night.
Live stream.
Yes.
Thanks, Graham. Starting at midnight, basically like Friday night, at midnight, and then going till Saturday at midnight. And all of these people you see on the screen are going to be involved. All of us will be involved. In some way. Yeah. So hope you'll check it out. Hope you'll come stop by for at least a bit of it. And yeah. Okay.
It's gonna be cool.
Anything else?
No. Can we do a raid? Can we raid?
Ooh,
we'll send
yeah.
people along to. I see Vorpal Tales on. They're the people we've raided before. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's great. I need somebody to spell it for me.
VORPAL and then Tales, all one word.
Okay. Great. We'll do that.
The T in Tales is capitalized.
Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all later. Have a good night. Enjoy the raid.